Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. We're here and we're having fun. We got a great show for you today. I hope everybody has had a sane start to their week. That's always a nice way to start the week. There's a lot of different ways to start the week, but a sane one is preferred. And if you're interested in all sorts of ways that you can stay sane throughout the week, go check out canarycry.party. That's canarycry.party. It's a real URL. It's incredible. You'll find all sorts of resources about the show, for the show, around the show, but more importantly, the community. And of course, we've got the Discord channel, we've got the Discourse Forum, canarycry.community, and all sorts of other wonderful things that can get you connected and make you feel right at home. Well, we're going to get the show started. I don't think there's any special announcements, except for I sure do hope that I can make it through the whole show without getting sucked into some sort of vortex in the time-space continuum. But other than that, folks, stay tuned, sit tight, stay hydrated. Let's get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is October 17th, 2022. We are live to tape on episode 548. And today, Alt Yay and Razzle Dazzle signing on from off the grid. Oh, I forgot how the show starts again, Gons. This happens every time. Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live from California, still in California, here to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomenon, Basil, is split.
Ooh.
The split.
The split.
There's a
the
quote.
Banana split.
Yeah, perhaps. There's a quote by Susie Kassim. She said this: when two brothers are busy fighting, an evil man can easily attack and rob their poor mother. And that's what's happening, folks. We're all fighting. Divide and conquer, baby. The evil man's going to rob our mom.
Our mothers. Don't rob my mother, please. My goodness.
Perfect analogy of what's happening.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. I like it. I'm glad. I'm here. I'm glad that I made it. Of course, I'm still wandering the earth. I'm on the travel rig here, so mind the audio quality. But I'm excited to be here, and I hope that it stays this way. You know what my problem is, Gons? Oh, okay. Let me give you a second. You want to?
Well, no, I'm looking at my audition and it's recording, but it's not leaving that red trail that it normally leaves, which makes me very nervous about what is happening here technically. But sorry, continue. Yes, your woes.
What was I going to say? What did I ask you? I asked if you know what my problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Too optimistic. Gets me every time.
Yeah, it'll do it.
But you did a great job last week, and I'm not going to say too much because there's always a chance where you will have to continue doing a great job for this week.
Yeah.
But I'm here now, and I'm excited. You want to run down?
Let's do the rundown.
Oh, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Yay, 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 Gons, Kanye West, so much is happening. I had no idea. I blinked for a moment, and suddenly Kanye West is taking over the world, and not just the world, but the minds of those who are easily distracted, but at the same time, perhaps a conservative social media platform. We'll talk about that in our opening stories there, as well as some more of Ye's woes. Then, of course, we'll be checking in with Flippy and how the Oakland Police have made such a sincere request to their civilian oversight committee on just how close they can come to the line without crossing it. Then we'll be checking in with old hairy legs Biden. He's had quite the time of it during his presidency. We'll see how he spent most of his time. A little bit of a rundown on China, Biden, and the chip wars, which, of course, we know is a big deal, but may just be setting the stage for the next few decades of life in the U.S. and around the world. Then, of course, it's time to check in on the food industry. Not only are we going to be perhaps eating microchips and microplastics and microfiche, lots of micro things that we're going to be eating, some on purpose and some not. We will then be exploring the DailyBeast's theological exploration of the fifth evangelist, something you don't necessarily see every day on a rag like the Daily Beast. And then rounding out the show, we've got some Antarctica news, and perhaps we'll hear some dinosaur impressions at the end of the show, just like that. But Gons, let's start out with our lead stories.
We will build Babylon better. This time, a new world order.
It's certainly new, and it's certainly a world, and it's going in order.
It's orderly.
CNBC headline: Kanye West, who now goes by Ye or Ye. I don't know. I get corrected all the time. Ye.
It's Ye.
Okay.
It's Ye.
Agrees to buy conservative social media platform Parler. Company says.
Wow.
It's happening. It's a long-awaited purchase of Parler. Kanye West, the superstar rapper who has made several inflammatory and anti-Semitic comments in recent weeks, has agreed in principle to buy conservative social media platform Parler. The app's parent company said in a statement Monday, quote, "In a world where conservative opinions are considered to be controversial, we have to make sure we have the right to freely express ourselves," said West, who now goes by Ye, in a statement released by Parler. I actually think the letter said, "Dear Ye."
Yeah, they referred to him by Ye.
Yay. Financial terms of the deal weren't announced. The company previously said it had raised $56 million in funding from outside investors. The move comes after Ye was locked out of his Twitter and Instagram accounts for making anti-Semitic remarks. In one post, Ye played into a long-standing anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that fellow rapper Sean Diddy Combs is being controlled by Jewish people. On Twitter, meanwhile, Ye's account was restricted after he said he would go, quote, DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, all caps. Hey, not a great look. A representative for Ye didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Ye's net worth is reportedly $2 billion. Much of his fortune come from his Yeezy sneaker brand and partnerships with Gap and Adidas. However, Ye severed business ties with Gap recently, and Adidas said it's also reviewing its business relationship with him. JP Morgan Chase also cut ties with the rapper. Moving on, Parler is one of the several right-wing friendly platforms to emerge during the Trump era. It might have helped in the January 6th insurgents and the whole deal. They just go into the whole thing there. And
You're going off the rails there, man.
Well, it's funny because they just run through. They have literally 7 words, or I guess 8. Yeah, 8 words about the JP Morgan situation. JP Morgan Chase also cut ties with the rapper. That's kind of a big deal. We covered it in the last episode, but you were aware
ties. Cut ties is probably the least descriptive way that you could describe that situation.
Yeah, well, the Bloomberg did have this article, banking breakup between Ye, JP Morgan planned for weeks. And according to the Bloomberg article, the JP Morgan Chase and the rapper formerly known as Kanye West are ending their business relationship, but the breakup is not a result of the controversy over the hip-hop star's recent anti-Semitic comments. And so it goes into how Candace Owens, her tweet, really brought this news to light, but I don't think people wanted to carry it. And now that it's out there and true, they want to try to address it, tiptoe around the issue. But it says here that the decision was made after Ye publicly said he was going to cut off ties with the bank. JP Morgan is giving West 60 days from the date of the letter, which they sent a letter to West on September 20th. And West told Bloomberg News on September 12th that he planned on cutting much of its corporate ties, saying he, quote, "It's time for me to go it alone." In that interview, he also criticized JP Morgan for not giving Ye access to Jamie Dimon, the bank's CEO and chairman. So apparently it was more of like Ye saying, "Hey, time for me to go into Indy." And then JP Morgan said, "Okay, sure." And then sent him a letter.
Yeah. I mean, who knows exactly what it is? But I mean, you got to keep in mind, this is not just like his personal finances.
No,
I mean, we've been talking about the cancellation, the cancel culture, the censorship, the whatever words you want to use to describe it, extending towards, debanking people, which is sort of the ultimate censorship. Yeah. And this is really, Canada had a little bit of this with the truck drivers. Yeah. And, that's been a developing story ever since. This is really one of the first that I can think of a real debanking. It is along the same lines as like a PayPal, getting kicked off PayPal, but to have your multi-billion-dollar business be debanked by JP Morgan Chase is that's some next level. Kanye prides himself on taking things to the next level. He certainly took this one to the next level.
Well, the old saying that we've been hearing, "Hey, start your own." Oh, you don't like YouTube? Start your own YouTube. What's the thing where it's like, oh, you don't like JP Morgan? Start your own JP Morgan. It's kind of like, okay. Yeah. All right. Create a whole different financial system, huh? Sounds like
I think
something.
It is interesting how the banks are really kind of, I don't know, maybe the last one of these industries in peril that hasn't had like a free speech or conservative version of it sprout up. Right. You've got the video platforms, you've got the social media platforms, you've got all sorts of platforms popping up to sort of, in the name of free speech. Yeah. Nobody's yet started the free speech bank yet.
Kind of hard to really get behind that one,
You got
Banks
this,
can freely express their feelings too. Although you missed it last week, Basil. We covered BlackRock, who, and this is relevant somewhat to the China story later too. But BlackRock was saying, "Oh, we don't like what China's doing. We're not all these accusations about being controlled by China. They're inaccurate." And then in the same Twitter thread, this is directly from BlackRock, they were like, "Oh, by the way, when there's reunification with Taiwan," and it was like, "Oh, yeah, no, you guys are definitely controlled, or at least in friendship with China. You wouldn't call
Right.
it a reunification if you were just an independent investment firm or something, So anyway,
Right.
it's just funny how it's all being moved around. And, we were talking about this a little bit right before we went live, but it's sort of it is a controlled chaos here. It feels like everything's falling apart. Oh no, the banks but it feels like it's all kind of purposeful too. It's like they need the chaos to hit the reset button.
It really is a strange mix. It feels like it feels like a chaotic act. I mean, everything, if we're just talking about Ye, it feels like the consequences of a rash decision or a tweet gone wrong or a series of sort of chaotic acts. There's discussions around this sort of mental state and things like this. But when you line them all up and you see the dominoes begin to fall, it doesn't feel as chaotic as I think we're supposed to feel that it is. I don't know, man.
For us,
Yeah.
I think for normies, it's incredibly chaotic. Like this is
because it's just following the exact series of events that we're expecting to happen.
right. Yeah, especially,
Or maybe it's just a matter of paying attention. Who knows?
I would agree. And one of the things that I wanted to just bring up as part of the conversation here with the Ye thing is a throwback. Every once in a while, I like to bring this back up, and it's the 2017 Economist cover called Planet Trump, and it has 8 tarot cards. And I think it's important to bring this back up every once in a while because in 5 short years, going on 6, the progress that has been made by these magicians is quite remarkable. So we have the Tower card, which I've brought up multiple times. It's the first card on here. It's the split between the Protestant Tower, where the Martin Luther thing was nailed on the door.
Yep.
It's being torn up, and there's a Christ side and there's a communist side. So there's like a split happening worldwide, and that's in context to Russia and China and the West and NATO, and it all kind of fits into that mold. So that's obviously taking place because we're seeing that sort of religious divide and conquer methodology there. And then, of course,
and there's the aspect of it being religious ideology coming up against a political or economic ideology, and equating those and posing them against each other.
Right. Yes. And then there's the judgment, Trump sitting on the earth. And of course, I think we're going to continue to see the quote unquote draining of the swamp as part of this whole reset thing they're doing, and the expose the corruption kind of thing. And perhaps that's also why certain people are being chosen to move to the next thing, in terms of economic infrastructure. Then we have the World card, which is interconnected information, government, entertainment. We're seeing that with the rise of blockchain.
Culture.
Culture.
Blockchain.
And then we have the Hermit, which is, of course, very interesting because the Hermit card in the tarot traditions has to do with introspection, meditation, self-reflection, solitude, soul-searching, withdrawal from society, exile, loneliness. I don't know. Is there something that's happened in recent memory dazzle where it's caused the entire world to be introspective and lonely and exiled from one another? I don't know, man. I don't know if they've pulled that one off, but
nothing rings a bell.
Nothing rings a bell. Okay. And then there's the stars, which I think has to do with perhaps Apophis at the end of this decade. Wheel of Fortune, the wheel of politicians coming and going. And we're not going to bring the story to you, but Liz Truss over there in the UK replacing Boris is having some issue right now, gaining any kind of credibility with anybody. Nobody likes her. Then we have the Magician card, where you have the VR headset and the 3D houses being printed as sort of the meta move there. And finally, the Death card, which is the big nuclear explosion, which in the context of current news, Putin's going to hit the button. We're going to have a nuke.
We're on the precipice. We're on the precipice.
So really, in 2017, these tarot cards kind of look like, all right, whatever. In 2022 here, going on 2023, all of these things seem to be well in development. And they do a good job of just letting everybody know what their plans are, especially in this form of tarot, just kind of like, hey, we're performing magic on the world. And here's our
hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. So yeah, in that context, the Ye thing, the Ye story is sort of, I don't know, just right in line with the changing of the guard, the changing of all of the infrastructure. So Just
Yeah.
bring that into conversation.
Absolutely. No. I mean, it's if you recall. I mean, and there's a sort of a famous juxtaposition with Ye in particular as he's being sort of set up to be. Now, even the messaging around Ye and his anti-Semitic tweets and his ban from his subsequent ban from the Twitter and then going over to Parler. The messaging, the structure of the message is again connecting, anti-Semitism, hate, sort of perhaps even mental illness with conservative ideas, which is very much a well-manufactured structure for the messaging. The messaging is one thing, but the framework, the form of the message is even more powerful.
Well, and Ye also, if I recall, recently sort of alluded to the Black Hebrew Israelite theory.
Right. He's sort of Hebrew roots. Black Hebrew Israelite, right?
Yeah, BHI.
The official term.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because it juxtaposes his sort of new conservative,
play
patina that he's now has on him, because he was the one who after Katrina was talking about how George Bush hates black people. He was kind of like a liberal bastion against the Republican establishment of the time. And it's just you talk about the confusion that comes upon the world after a sort of, it really is almost like a magic act, the way that it's been flipped. Much how we've seen the messaging about literally everything. Everything we've been documenting over the past few years is a flip of the paradigm, almost an entire 180. And he, whether you like it or not, he's definitely a poignant example, if not, major player in the confusion that's still to come, unfortunately. That's very interesting. Big things going on in Ye world, Gons.
Yeah, and it's sad but true. The fact that Candace Owens was the one that really brought this to light with her tweet, it feels like the pendulum is swinging, but the indicator being black people, like, the black conservatives are now kind of moving in this direction, and so will culture, kind of thing. I don't know. It's very interesting to watch, and especially with the Ye's whole Christian or quote unquote Christian sort of thing he does, which that's a whole
I forgot about
itself.
that. Almost an entirely different category. Oh my gosh, my alarms are so loud. Can you hear that?
No, but your sound is very kind of janky coming through the sound hole.
Sorry. Yeah. With that, I think we should say hello to Monday, and we can talk a little bit more about it.
Yay, Monday. Yay.
What day is it? Monday. Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
That's right. It is Monday. We've done it. We've started another week, Gons. And I'm very impressed with you. An entire week of carrying the show solo. Well done, Gons. Thank you very much for doing such a great job.
Oh, thank you. And over the weekend, I had to take out some of my pent up just stress from doing the show solo. So I went to a pumpkin patch because, that's what you do when you stress out. You go to a pumpkin patch. And my older daughter took video of me and Kaya, our 5-year-old. We were at they had these stations where you, they're I don't know what they're called. They're like giant airsoft cannons that shoot out little pumpkins, like real pumpkin. You stuff the pumpkin and then you
like
shoot
potato guns, only pumpkin guns.
Yeah. It's kind of, I guess you're right. It's like a potato gun. And caught footage of just a special moment here. I'll show it on screen.
I'll stand next to you.
My daughter in the background there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'd say a good, probably probably 50 yards or so. They had these things set up in different spots, and we hit the far one, the far sunflower bullseye, just right dead center. So yeah,
that's good. It's kind of like an apocalypse skill set, once all the ammo runs out, you got to start using the squash and the vegetables as ammunition.
Yeah, and the trajectory of these things, they have the little target on the top, but yeah, those things you got to have a feel, you can use that as sort of reference, but
yes,
you realize you can't rely on the thing, because it's, every squash is different, so it's
you've got to feel the squash. You can't just, I hear you. Yeah. Well, good job. Again, very impressive.
Thank you.
So I thought I'd give everybody an explanation, at least, as to what's been going on.
Yeah. Why are you on a hammock? Relaxing.
On a hammock. Oh, I saw that. I've been loving watching the art coming. It's so fun. Yes. So I told you my biggest problem is being too optimistic. And I think, there's been lots of times in the past doing this show and other shows where no matter where I am, I'm somehow able to find a way to, patch in, make the show happen. Now, this was back when, I don't know, my traveling was back when we were only doing the show once a week, but once you got 3 times a week, it just introduces more issues. But yes, I'm out and about traveling the world. I thought I'd give everybody an update. I gave a little bit of an update a few episodes ago in regards to, flying on planes, traveling around.
Uh-oh. You've gone completely silent. Oh no, we've completely lost Basil. Oh boy, this is not looking good. Yeah, okay. Of course, the poetic nature of losing internet connection with Basil while he's talking about being too optimistic, having internet connection for the show. Poetic, I just have to say. Okay, well, let's see if he will contact us back. Are you back? Are you there? Okay, shut down the connection there real quick. Good times. All right. Hey, good stuff. Good top of the show. Good beginning of the show. All right. Let's see. Let's do something about that. Let's go ahead and, oh, you know what? I'm also very worried about our recording here because, oh no, my recording's not going either. Ah! Hello.
I can't believe it.
As you're talking.
I cannot believe it. I'm telling you the story of how it's been almost impossible to find reliable internet.
Uh-huh.
And the one time I finally do, I cut out while I'm telling you the story.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect example of what the last week of us trying to do shows has been like.
Yeah.
Has it?
While you're talking, my audition completely stopped. So
oh, good.
I'm having to change some things around in the background as you speak. But continue. Please continue.
Well,
tell us your story.
That'll be part of the fun about getting back to the compound. Is I'm sure everything will go back to normal.
Uh-huh.
Have you been keeping everybody updated on the googly eyes? A
little bit, yeah. I told them about how you seem to you seem to have a follower, or either that or
I don't
some kind
know.
Of splitter.
I don't know what it is. It may just be a coincidence. It very well may be a coincidence. Apparently, googly eyes are the most popular craft item on the planet now, as we've been documenting going on.
Yeah,
for sure. Yes, but. So I was on the show last Friday. Works fine. I walk out of my hotel room. The closet that contains the networking for the hotel I was staying in is located apparently across the hallway from my room. I walk out the room. The door to that closet is cracked open. I thought that's kind of weird. I didn't really think anything about it. And turns out I never had internet ever again in that hotel. So maybe that's a signal, a little clue. But then somebody in that hotel was putting googly eyes on things. And on the very last night of staying at that hotel, I got moved. I got transferred into a different room for a boring reason. Doesn't matter. And I go into that room, and on the ground in that room was a tiny little googly eye. And now look, folks, we have a lot of fun on this show. We talk about how the lizard people are taking all their ideas from me. The Flippy army is, sort of constructing world events to just mess with me and things like this. Look, I get it. We're having fun here. I'm not trying to say anything, but that was a little much, bro. The googly eyes showing up, the door to the internet, closet being cracked open, never getting to do a show again. It was just too much. And so I made sure that the next place that I went had good internet. And they assured me that they did. And then they stuck me in a room, which is literally in the attic of the building, as far away from the Wi-Fi router as you can possibly get. And that's what we're dealing with today. So things are tough. I was a little bit too optimistic about my ability to stay as consistent as I'd like to be, but I thank everybody for their patience. And hopefully we'll get through an entire episode, Gons. Imagine that.
Yeah. I don't understand why I delete things off this drive, and it still tells me that there's no room. It's fun. I love technology that doesn't really explain to you everything that it's doing or lack of what it's doing. And
they have minds of their own.
Yeah, clearly. This is no good. I don't know what to do. I am completely out of options here. Trying to figure something out so we can get some kind of, not horrible audio.
Recording.
Yeah. Recording of the podcast.
Recording some kind of podcast. Yeah. So I guess we need to stall for a moment or two then, I guess is what we're saying.
I guess. Yeah, sure. Maybe.
Well, yeah, we can't do too much recording if you're not being recorded, because I am not recording your backup either. I cannot do that from this situation.
Yeah,
so anything you say right now will basically not make it onto the podcast.
No, it will. We'll pull from the live video.
Weird.
Yeah, we'll pull from the live video, which isn't great, but it is what it is. Let's see. Here we go. I'm making progress over here. What are we doing? Are we talking about some executive producers, maybe?
But I will tell you this, Gons.
Okay.
For a show that commits to doing a show as long as ours, as often as ours, there's going to be some episodes things get a little wonky.
Yeah.
And with that, you're right. Let's thank some executive producers.
Let's do it.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. The executive producers are people who recognize that independent media can truly only survive whatever it is to come when people who receive value from what we do here put value back in. Yes, it's called the value for value system, and it takes away any need to rely on corporate money whatsoever. We take no corporate money, no advertisements, no affiliate codes, no platform partnerships. We are entirely funded by the people who receive value from the show, and it's the only way to go, baby. I actually met some podcasters while I was traveling, and I was, got to preach about value for value. And not only is it, a viable way to keep independent media alive, but also, one little way that we can chip away at the monolith that is corporate money in independent media. But enough about that. The people who support this show, they're called producers, and the ones who come in and support the show carry a heavy load and are generous with the value that they give because of the value they receive. We call them executive producers, and let's thank them now. What do you say, Gons?
Let me try to multitask, and yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do it.
Here.
Well, I think it'll be an easy multitask because as of the start of the show, hold on, okay, reloading, refreshing, thank you. It's been so long since I've refreshed a web page. Yeah, I think as of now, unless you know of anybody, I don't think we have any executive producers for this episode, Guns.
Yay.
It happens, you know. My heart and my spirits were lifted last week when it seemed like some execs came in at the end of the week there to support you in your endeavors and the sort of Sisyphusian task that you had of doing this show solo for so often during the week.
Yeah,
so
nice.
we appreciate that very much. But as of now, no executive producer for this episode, but there's still time, folks. You can support the show in any way that you'd like, your time, your talent, or your treasure. But if you'd like to become an executive producer as well, you can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
All right. Well, what else do we do here? Anything?
I'll usually mention a meetup or two, but it's okay.
Yeah. We can mention a meetup.
Okay.
I'll just mention it real quick. Okay. We have the Canada meetup is coming up, I believe.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. I do not have it pulled up, but I'm going to pull it up as I vamp.
Do you know Miss G of the OV?
Right. Do you know the dates?
October 22nd, Ottawa Valley Coffee in our Prior. The 22nd, that's this upcoming Saturday, 11:11 a.m. Contact Grace, that's Dame Miss G of the OV. Oh, there goes Basil. Good. Just as I'm trying to get other things working. So, this is pretty much a disaster, huh? Yeah? Basil? No? Okay. All right. Well, good. Let's let's do a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
This is a Flippy update. Oh my gosh, this is just a complete disaster over here. My recording is not happening. Oh my gosh. Basil's typing something to me. Oh, okay, he wants me to call him. Boom, boom, boom. Loud. So loud.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot that it would ring on your side if you called me anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways, there you go. We got the Canada meetup in Ottawa Valley Coffee in our Prior. We got to figure out how to say that place. On the 22nd, that's just in a few days at 11:11 a.m. Contact Miss Grace Elizabeth at protonmail.com for more info, or you can check your inbox. The info for that is in the newsletter. Okay, you ready for Flippy?
We already played the jingle, but sure, we'll do it again. Oh, hold on. I'm still trying to get this thing to work over here.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
It's a disaster right now. An absolute disaster.
You know, I'm going to take a second before the Flippy update. There are so many options when it comes to podcasts and live streaming, and there's some really, really impressive shows out there, and for different reasons, of course, but very rarely do you get to experience the pain, the struggle, the heartbreak, the frustration, the real humanness that are podcasters live. The sort of war that goes on between man and machine to create something beautiful like a podcast.
Oh, and I have 3 terabytes of free space, and it's telling me that it's come on.
And we don't edit it out, folks. A professional might recommend we do, but we keep it in, and we'll make it through together.
I don't understand why. Why are you telling me that the drive is full when there's 3 open terabytes?
Sounds like you're going to need to restart some software there, buddy. And while you do, I'll mention that Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from theintercept.com. And if anybody needs reviewing, this is the outlet created by Glenn Greenwald after he broke the Snowden story, and his career went spiraling out of control after that. And then The Intercept thought that Glenn was, too much of a right-wing extremist, a gay liberal journalist living with his husband in Brazil or wherever he is, raising abandoned dogs off the street. Way too much of a conservative extremist for The Intercept. So they kicked him out. And now they're reporting on this. Oakland cops hope to arm robots with lethal shotguns.
Oh, wait. I thought we were promised no weapons on our robots.
You know what I love? I love this. They've kind of given up. They've just given up. They've just given up trying to, hide the fact that they're just trying to make these kill bots. I like the distinction, though, between lethal shotguns and whatever the alternative is. Oakland cops, California, baby, hope to arm robots with lethal shotguns in a series of little-noted Zoom meetings this fall. Oh, I love it. In little noted Zoom meetings this fall, the city of Oakland, California, grappled with a question whose consequences could shape the future of American policing. Should cops be able to kill people with shotgun-armed robots? It's a very specific question that they ask.
Yeah.
Very specific. But I do like the framing of this from The Intercept. This is not just about robots. This is about how policing is done in America. And there's this intersection, as I'm supposed to say it in sort of academic circles. There's this intersection of policing and robots. In fact, robots, they're intersecting with a lot of things nowadays, and policing, of course, should be one of them. But these conversations about robots are not just about robots, and that's what of course, you, dear listener, you know this. You've been following the Flippy update. The Flippy update is not just about different kinds of robots. It's about the direction society is going in the near and far future. The way that robots are intersecting with other parts of society is not just about the robots. It's about all of us. And in this case, it's about policing and policing in America. The back and forth between the Oakland Police Department and a civilian oversight body concluded with the police relinquishing their push for official language that would have allowed them to kill humans with robots under certain circumstances. It was a concession. A concession to the civilian committee, which pushed to bar arming robots with firearms, but a concession only for the time being. You know what? Say what you want about California people. There is officially a group of Californian citizens who are actively trying to make sure that these robots do not get guns. And you got to give them credit for that. The article continues. The department said it will continue to pursue lethal options when asked... Do I have you here still?
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'm just checking. I love that. The department said it will continue to pursue lethal options. Okay. No, you took away the shotgun option, but we'll find another option. Don't worry. The department said it will continue to pursue lethal options when asked whether the Oakland Police Department will continue to advocate for language that would allow killer robots under certain emergency circumstances. Lieutenant Omar Daza Quiroz, who represented the department in discussions over the authorized robot use policy. Notice in the two sentences, they're talking about asking for permission to use robots, and almost in sort of a neuro-linguistic programming type of way, within 10 words of each other, you have the words emergency use well, it says authorized, but authorization. So it's really conjuring the same legal principle that allowed for all sorts of wacky stuff recently. Don't you think that's quite the coincidence, guys?
I don't know what you're talking about, but
I know it's very interesting.
What emergency would cause some kind of legal loophole for things that aren't safe or something? To
just
go
for emergencies, we want to be able to, I don't know, you kill people with robots holding shotguns, or some such thing. Quote, yes, we are looking into that and doing more research at this time. That was the
looking into how to kill?
They're actively seeking ways to arm these robots for lethal purposes. But just for an emergency. Just to be authorized during an emergency. Okay. The controversy began at the September 21st meeting of an Oakland Police Commission subcommittee, a civilian oversight council addressing what rules should govern the use of the city's arsenal of military-grade police equipment. According to California state law, police must seek approval from a local governing body, like a city council, to determine permissible use of military equipment or weapons like stun grenades and drones. Much of the September meeting focused on the staples of modern American policing, with the commissioners debating the permissible uses of flashbang grenades, tear gas, and other now standard equipment with representatives of the Oakland Police Department. Roughly 2 hours into the meeting, however, the conversation moved on to the Oakland Police's stable of robots and their accessories. They have a whole stable full of these robots now. One such accessory is the gun-shaped, quote, percussion-actuated non-electric disruptor. Long story short, this is sort of a tool. Usually can hold a shotgun blank, a blank shell, and they use it to activate like bombs. If there's like a backpack, they think it's a bomb. They'll drive the robot over and they'll shoot it with a blank shotgun shell. Now, somebody on the panel asked the police department, can a live round physically go in, and what happens if a live round goes in? Speaking to talking about a live shotgun round. And Dakar Rose, that's the lieutenant, says, yeah, physically, a live round can go in. Absolutely. And you'd be getting a shotgun round. After a brief silence, Commissioner Jesse Shea asked the next question, quote, does the department plan on using a live round in the robot pan disruptor? The answer was immediately provocative. No, Daza said, before quickly pivoting to hypothetical scenarios in which, yes, just such a shotgun-armed robot might be useful to the police. Quote, I mean, is it possible we have an active shooter in a place we can't get to and he's fortified inside a house, or we're trying to get to a person? It soon became clear the Oakland Police Department was saying what nearly every security agency says when it asks the public to trust it with an alarming new power. We'll only use it in emergencies, but we'll get to decide what's an emergency. And it goes on to sort of break this down even more, talking about killer robots and, the increased militarization of American life, et cetera, et cetera. And Gons, we
lost you. Cannot hear you. Oh, and there it goes again. Wow, this is really fun. This is a good show. This is a good, positive show where we can flow and conversations just roll off the tongue as we Continue. Is he going to call me back? Am I going to call him? What do I do? Oh, no. And is this... Hold on. I'm trying to see if the chat is being bombarded with some kind of... Oh, it is. We have spam in the chat. Oh, gosh. If it wasn't enough, I feel like I'm being attacked right now. This is ridiculous. Something went wrong. What do you mean something went wrong? I can't block people? What is going on here? All right, here we go. I think I was able to block people. All right. Still not recording audio. Still having issues. Audition. Why? I just don't understand why it's telling me. Oh my gosh, that's so loud. That hurt my ears.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry it hurt your ears. This is hurting my soul.
This is a disaster. The chat, there was spam in the chat while this was all happening.
Oh, you had some chat spam going?
Yeah, and I'm trying to...
Oh, no.
And it's still telling me that my disk is full. I think I need a full reboot of the computer, which cannot happen while we're live. So...
No. Well, we get to just feel the pain. This might just be a post from the live show, I suppose.
Live, yeah.
Which isn't the greatest because that's the one that I'm cutting out of again and again. Yeah. So my beautiful locally recorded file isn't even going to, make it.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're talking about arming robots with shotguns in as small of settings as city council meetings. This is no longer killbots are no longer a geopolitical, international combat conversation. This is on a local level, a neighborhood, city council level of conversation. So it's just a matter of time, folks. Start working on digging a moat around your house.
Well, maybe our current president can give us some confidence about the state we're in.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
Armageddon's on the way.
CNN.com headline: Biden has spent more than a fourth of his presidency working from Delaware, outpacing Trump's regular trips away. So there you go. Whoa, CNN saying that Biden is taking more vacations than Trump? How could that be? President Joe Biden spent the weekend at his home in Delaware, where he met up with his wife, other family members, and if they followed usual practice, Willow the cat and Commander the dog. He's so perfect.
Commander.
It's a familiar weekly ritual. Yes, it is. Lots of rituals taking place. As of this point in his presidency, Biden has spent more than a quarter of his time working from his home state of Delaware, either at his house in Wilmington or his Rehoboth Beach property. I don't know how to say that. Is that Rehoboth or is it Rehoboth? I don't know.
I don't recognize it. Yeah. I don't think I've ever read it before.
Yeah, nobody knows because Joe lives there. They can't dox
Maybe
Joe
it's sort of like maybe it's a Hollow Earth, realm. It's a realm beneath the crust of the earth between the molten core and the T-Rex zoo.
Yeah. Well, it goes through the amount of times he's visited Delaware, some of the numbers. And here's what's interesting. Here's what CNN says here. He has now surpassed even the getaway time of former President Donald Trump, so often criticized by Democrats for his regular departures from the White House to stay at one of his personal homes.
Democrats?
Was it criticized by Democrats? I mean, yes, of course they were criticized by Democrats, but CNN, you were like the number one platform peddling this idea of how look at Trump. Oh, he's back in his Florida vacation home, hitting golf balls when there's illegal aliens without shelter at the border or whatever it is,
Chris Shilzilla is writing a book based on how much he paid attention to Trump, playing golf, things like that.
Right. At this point in his tenure, Trump had spent about 135 days at either his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, or his home at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Trump also had spent 23 days at Camp David, compared to 64 days for Biden and 174 days away from the White House for Biden. So there you go. It's just fun, Joe. And I like the header image. There's some press and Joe giving a speech, a talk or something on the beach. He's got
Sure.
shorts on. He's showing off those hairy legs. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not all Basil. He was seen at the local ice cream shop, as he's famous for now, walking around
classic.
with his ice cream. And I'd like to try to have you decipher some of what he says here. Some of it is very audible, but this is just a 10-second clip of Biden at the ice cream shop.
I'm not concerned about the strength of the dollar. I'm concerned about the rest of the world. Does that make sense? Yes. Our economy is strong as hell.
All right. So the first part right there, just the top right here.
I'm not concerned about the strength of the dollar.
What do you think he's saying there?
Sounds like he's saying he's not concerned about the future of the world of what? He's not concerned
Well,
about the
first
future
off,
of something.
President Biden, didn't your mother teach you not to speak with your mouth full, especially with ice cream? Come on now.
Oh, is there ice cream dripping out of his mouth as he's saying this?
I don't know about dripping, but he's definitely got some food in his mouth, which is whatever. But the line was, "I'm not concerned about the strength of the dollar." That's what he's saying. But what came out was,
I'm not concerned about the strength of the dollar. I'm concerned about the rest of the world. Does that make sense? Yes. Our economy is strong as hell.
So if you can,
I'm not concerned about the strength of the dollar. I'm concerned about the rest of the world.
Yeah, well, because the U.S. dollar is the dominant force around the world, obviously.
For now.
Very Trumpian thing to say, strong dollar. And then the fact that, somebody says, "Can you explain that?" And Joe's response is, "Yeah, the economy is strong as hell." And I would,
What?
I would say hell seems to have definitely put its fingerprint all over the economy.
That's a good point. Yes.
So he is speaking
very
accuracy
astute
again.
observation.
Yeah.
That is just a bizarre thing to say.
Yeah, well, that's been the whole.
Do you know who he's talking to? Was there a report, an article or something?
It's some reporters or some impromptu people that are, walking up to the president while he chomps
Somebody
down his
caught
ice
up
cream.
to him.
Yeah. So
Right.
there you go. In the meantime, because Biden, he's been busy. He has been doing things. And that's leads us into our next story here.
Welcome to Chinese news.
It comes from China. 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 It's not racist at all, no.
Real quick, Guns, are you recording yet? Are you back on?
No.
Online? Why don't you just pop open the voice recorder on, or a QuickTime recorder if you're on Mac?
Well, the problem is that I can't get a full feed of everything. Might as well use the. I
This
see
is
what you're
going to
saying.
be.
I see what you're saying, dude.
I was going to say you could at least get. I think you could get just one big fat feed of something natively, but I don't know. Just a thought. I cringe at the thought of having to put up the live feed as the podcast.
I know. Well, it happens every once in a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Time for some Chinese news, folks. This is coming from, oh my gosh, so many pop-ups. It's incredible. Oh, it's coming from Forbes.
Yeah.
The headline is "The Chip War with China is just getting started." Dun, dun, dun. Last week, the Biden administration announced new restrictions on American companies selling advanced semiconductors to China, including restrictions on U.S. citizens and residents working for chip plants in China. The impact on our America's most dangerous opponents since the end of the Cold War was almost instantaneous. Ooh. What's up with that weird typo, Forbes? According to Bloomberg, Americans working in Chinese plants are already leaving. If ever there was a strategy to stop a high-tech rival in its tracks, this was it. Interestingly enough, all that's really happening is finally we're doing what China has been doing to us for decades. This strategy, however, is not original with the Biden team. When I was at the National Security Council, the Trump administration was using the direct product rule that can prevent companies anywhere in the world from selling products using U.S. products or technology subject to export controls to slow Chinese telecom giant Huawei's attempt to take over the global 5G market. Now Biden is using it to prevent even allied countries like South Korea from selling advanced chips to Chinese firms or organizations engaged in AI and supercomputing activities. Hey, well, if it was racist when Trump did it, what does that make it when Biden does it, guys?
Ice cream, baby. Just ice cream.
It's Together with the CHIPS Act, Congress passed to devote $52 billion in subsidies to, quote, revitalize the domestic semiconductor industry and spur innovation, and Taiwan's leading chip manufacturer, TSMC, agreeing to build a major new plant in Arizona. America's semiconductor industry should be back on track, right? Not so fast.
Oh, boy.
Whoa, Forbes. I've written many times in this space how semiconductors are the building blocks of the modern digital economy, powering the internet and providing the foundation for critical technologies such as artificial intelligence, 5G, quantum, robotics, and autonomous vehicles. They are also an essential tool in our national security arsenal, animating every major weapon and defense system, as well as their command and control architecture, including GPS and space. Space. I've also written how China is going full speed to build a world-beating microchip industry to become the superconducting colossus of the 21st century. In this regard, there still remains the glaring problem of China's aggressive moves towards Taiwan, the world's manufacturer of 90% of high-end advanced integrated circuits. As my Hudson colleague Mike Pompeo and Vivek Ramaswamy wrote in the Wall Street Journal, a disruption of Taiwan's semiconductor industrial base could trigger a massive and protracted economic meltdown, one that would have a devastating impact on our semiconductor sector as well. So let me see here. This is by Arthur Herman, in case anybody's wondering. I'm adding my own theatrical flair to his work here. But our over-reliance on foreign sources for microchips, even from trusted allies such as Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea, is only part of a broader issue: America's over-reliance on global supply chains that are all too vulnerable to disruption, including in time of war. So he's bringing this... he's doing a very interesting job at characterizing the stage of this economic war with China, especially in light of Taiwan and how we can see it going, a la Ukraine. Because remember, this is all about, in the same way that Ukraine seems to be revealing itself as a war, mainly spurred on by the United States and NATO to create an economic situation where the United States becomes a primary exporter of liquid natural gas to Europe instead of Russia, sort of the most hostile takeover of an entire energy industry, or market rather. Same with Taiwan and microchips, except for a little bit in reverse. All this isn't meant to depress us. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a bit there. Oh no, there it is. Consider the materials needed for manufacturing. Then he goes into copper, which, China is sort of the biggest customer of copper in the world, but you've got aluminum, tungsten, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Tungsten being the material that was used for the rods of God.
Yes, the tungsten rods. That's right. China is also the world's largest producer of aluminum, or aluminium, if you're in the UK, at 36 million tons. The U.S. only rates number 9 in the global producer ranking. China is also the world's main supplier of tungsten. The third largest producer of tungsten is Russia, China's ally. There's a similar story with China's monopoly of materials for lithium batteries, the power source for all those electric vehicles the Bidens want to buy, or the Bidens want us to buy, rather, while China produces more than 95% of the world's raw gallium. When was the last time you thought about gallium, Gons?
I don't know. Probably some game. Sounds like a fake thing. And there goes Basil once again. We have lost him. Once again. We will continue here. Gallium is the metal used in making chipsets for electronic devices such as computer motherboards or portable phones. Yeah, pretty important there. All this isn't meant to depress us about our chances of competing in the high-tech war with China. It's an urgent call for a strategy for creating a reliable and secure materials supply chain for our reviving semiconductor sector, while spurring innovations that will make us less rather than more dependent on supply chains outside our control. Interesting. It's an urgent call for a strategy for creating a reliable and secure materials supply chain for our reviving semiconductor sector while spurring innovations. This is it. This is sort of the key. The idea of China moving in, stealing all of our information, all of our development, our technology, and at a certain point, they have come to the world stage as sort of another power, equal in might with the U.S., but now it's time to divide and have war, I guess, especially in the sort of economic sense when it comes to resources and specifically semiconductors here. But this is, again, part of the infrastructure of the 21st century here, as they are talking about. But, it's funny because this is exactly what Trump was kind of talking about 4 years ago. But when he was doing it, it's all racist and whatever. But now that Biden's doing it, it's good. It's American. It's funny. Biden's the one bringing back all the jobs to the U.S., or at least manufacturing back to the U.S., So anyway, it's about working with allies to make their supply chains less vulnerable as well, and understanding the global stakes now centered in what could happen in the Taiwan Straits involves more than invoking military power. Important though that is, it requires a long-term focus on what we make at home and how we make it and where its materials come from. Yes, it does. Today, the U.S. has become too dependent on global supply chains stretched around the world. We're looking increasingly like Great Britain in World Wars I and II. This is another point that crazy conspiracy theorists have been saying for like 30 years. There's all this exporting, which really began in earnest in the 90s. I think Bill Clinton was really the one that sparked the sort of outsourcing, and especially China. There was some stuff before, but that in earnest in the 90s, mid 90s is when we started to really export manufacturing jobs and everything else. And a lot of people that were labeled conspiracy theorists were warning about, hey, this is not good. This is sort of destroying our ability to produce. And, we're in less of a position to, trade and do things like that. So, but now that it's gotten to the point where it is a split taking place, now it's we look like Great Britain during World War I and II. Despite Britain's vaunted overseas empire, the island nation discovered that a determined enemy, namely Germany, could literally bring it to the brink of starvation by serving its far-flung supply chains for everything from raw materials for manufacturing to basic food and fuel. Fortunately, Great Britain had a powerful ally to act as its supply chain savior, namely the United States. We don't. It's going to be entirely up to us and our politicians to restore our economic independence from energy to the raw materials that are essential for a strong and secure high-tech economy. And that's it right there. We are in a stage, I would say, with the in the divide and conquer roadmap, especially with China. China has gotten to the point where they can really bring the heat now. And we need to have that the teams being selected at a much quicker rate in terms of the world stage. And that's where we are. We're going to see more tensions. And, China's not going to want to necessarily pull off some kind of violent insurrection. I'll use that word in Taiwan. I think because they are sort of the longer term peoples, their agenda is very much like the lizard overlords. They're looking centuries. They're looking at long term. They're not necessarily looking for the short gains. And so if they can avoid some kind of physical altercation, then they will. But as we reported on last episode, or, we reported on this CHIPS bill thing that Biden, the CHIPS Act that Congress passed last episode. And I mentioned how it's very much like World War II, when the U.S. choked out supplies, mainly, I think it was fuel, to Japan, and Japan was forced to maintain their honor, to attack Pearl Harbor. They were baited into it. And I feel like this is kind of the same thing here. They're like, hey, we're just going to keep poking the bear. Or in this case, I guess it's the China. So the panda. Oh, am I going to get banned for that? I might get banned for that. I'm joking. Joke. Just a funny joke. Haha. So it could be that they're trying to do the same thing where they strip China of access to certain items that would help them develop their technocracy. And if they want to control Taiwan, they're going to have to intervene militarily, which I think the New World Order head types are just fine with. They're probably like, well, yeah, if you want to go into a physical altercation, let's do it. We got the lasers from the firmament there. So yeah, try China, try. And so, I really think this is just more staging, more flexing, and but it is impactful because we really have relied so much on China to build out our infrastructure here in the U.S. that this split, which is a long time coming, kind of like the yay thing, didn't happen overnight. It's been happening for a while. It's just come to a head where the rubber's meeting the road, so to speak, with the actual application of the technology to build out the infrastructure. So there you go. All right. Where's Basil? Is he gone? He's still not around. I don't know where he is. Great. This is fantastic. I feel like I'm being attacked, not by Basil, but just something in the air. Oh man. Oh yeah. The Prince of the Power of the Air, baby. Get behind me, Satan. You're not going to take over. We're going to continue on here. We're going to keep pressing forward. We're going to have a party. Go to canarycry.party. You will find a tree of links where you can find everything from how to connect with us and the community. All right, yeah, go to canarycry.party. Again, you'll see a bunch of links there. Okay, Basil's messaging me here. Oh, there's not something I wanted to show there. What happened? What happened to my this show is such a disaster. Oh man, you'd think we'd have it figured out on episode 548. Nope, just software exploding, internet connections failing, co-hosts ghosting. Not on his own accord, of course, but at least he was here for a little bit. At least we know he's alive and well. Oh my gosh, what is happening? This is just a complete disaster. What was I talking about? Oh, we were trying to talk about the party. Yeah. Okay. What happened to our link here? Our link tree. Here we go. Yeah. canarycry.party. Bunch of links. Go there. Try to click on stuff there, and there's lots of resources, including the podcast from our or ghosting, or maybe he's just losing his supply chain. Basil, he's got another podcast called Ravel with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates, where they talk about society, scripture, and scandal, having difficult conversations in good faith. I think that's the tagline. But there you go. It's a great show. It's a good supplement to Canary Cry News Talk and Canary Cry Radio. Go there, subscribe, check it out. You also got the Face Like the Sun archive as well. That's on Odyssey. That button is also at canarycry.party. So definitely go there, and there's lots of things for you all to dig into. Also, go to Canary Cry Clips. Do it on Odyssey, because we just got another strike on the Canary Cry Clips channel. And, let me see here. Basil's trying to... Okay, hold on. I'm going to message him here. Yes, I'm trying to communicate with co-hosts. He said, bro, what do we do? What we do is protest Elon Musk and, let's see, just call me, just call me, babe. All right. Sorry. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. Canary Cry Clips. Oh yeah. We got a strike. Another one. Yay. So we won't be able to upload. It's actually the Clippies team there won't be able to upload on the YouTube version of Canary Cry Clips. Oh my gosh. There he is. Barging in.
Yes. I was waiting patiently for you to call me back.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't interrupt your thing, trying to figure out
Well, I was trying to explain how we got a strike on Canary Cry Clips on YouTube, so you can go on Odyssey and that whole thing. Yeah, we're moving. We're still moving. Show must go on.
Yeah, I figured when you had a space for me to come back, then you would call me instead of me barging in with the super loud Skype ring just willy-nilly.
And whoever sold that Skype jingle to Skype is probably kicking himself. He could have made like a few cents every time it rings, but I'm sure Skype gave him like a couple grand, here's a couple $1,000.
In moments of silence, when I have a moment to think and contemplate the world, if things get too quiet, I swear I can hear the Skype ring jingle just coming through the ether.
It
just
must be the
constantly ringing at all times. Yeah. It's just programmed into my sort of subconscious at this point. But anyways, want to thank some producers?
Let's do it.
Yay. Holy smokes. Okay, well, folks, you know it. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. Why would you even want corporate money supporting your independent media? That's what got us into this mess in the first place. Instead, we're on the value for value model, which is simple. We don't charge for the show. We'll never charge for the show. We don't do premium content. The show is there forever. But if you get value out of the show, there's a paradigm shift waiting for you when the time is right, when you realize that we cannot break free from the monstrosity that is corporate money overtaking, wiggling its way in, and ultimately controlling anything it touches. There's no way to fight back against that except to disconnect entirely. So instead of teaming up with the lizard people to bring you the independent media that is just sort of meant to deconstruct their sort of juggernaut in the first place, it is up to all of us. For those who get value out of the show, the only way we continue to do the show is if you put value back in. And that can take many forms. It can be with your time, your talent, or your treasure. And those who support the show financially, well, we want to take a second and thank them because they are producers of the show. Yes, I said producers. It's the real world, folks. If you pay to have a piece of media produced, you are a producer. And that's why we thank you. Now, think of it like credits. We're giving you this, we're reading the credits, but more importantly, we're thanking them because especially nowadays when things are uncertain at the economic situation, no matter how much Joseph Robinette Biden wants to convince us that it is not the case, it is certainly a bit unstable. which makes the act of supporting independent media even more radical than it was before. And that's why we're going to thank them right now. Gons, are you ready?
As ready as I'll be for this episode. This has been a good one. It's been a good one.
Oh, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I'd like to start out by thanking still no executive producers. Okay, so we just don't have an executive for this show. Okay. But we do have some producers, and I'm going to start out with Gerardo M.
Thank you, Gerardo M.
And he comes in with $60.66. Ooh, spooky.
Is Gerardo M? Is that a different? Is that Brother G?
Is there another name?
Is it Brother G?
Perhaps, but it's too late now. And if it is the case, I apologize. I don't know why I would have missed that, except for it seems like it is one of those days when all these things happen.
Days.
So may or may not be a horse of a different color, but we will figure that out on the back end.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Was trying not to make any connection there, but there you go, Gons. Next up, I'd like to thank Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots.
Thank you, Sir Morv. On a 152 episode streak.
Comes in with the 1111. Let's see. We've got Joey Licious coming in with a pocket full of sevens.
Hey, good to see you, Joey Licious. He was our executive producer a couple episodes ago. So thank you very much.
Indeed. Let's see here. I got to hop over to this other list here because we're going to thank Puddin22 comes in.
Puddin22. Thank you very much.
With 1111. The note here from Puddin22. Hi, Basil and Gons. Praying you are doing well in the Canarium realm. The days are dark, but a bright light still shines in the darkness. Can ye get an amen? Meow, meow, meow.
An amen? Well, of course, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Amen. There you go, Puddin22.
And you know what? We got this one here. This one is from Gary H.
Gary H.
Yeah, Gary H. Yeah, Gary H comes in with 3333.
Ooh, Illuminatus.
Yes, I think maybe Gary H was trying to sign up for the supply drop. Just missed that last little checkbox there, but Gary H, we'll get back to you about that. Thank you for the support.
Thank you, Gary H.
Let's see. Going, gone. I think that is it. Short list today.
Yeah. What's okay?
Seems that's what happens. I feel like the day I make it back, it's always a short list. But then the second I leave, Gons gets a...
Are you trying to
paradigm shifting?
You're trying to do some weird handing off of the baton where you're like, my leg of the race is over. Let me hand it to you.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've known what's been going on this entire day.
With you is what's going on.
Are we really again? Okay, well, let's keep going.
Yeah, you sound a little robotic there. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Those 4 people conclude the list of financial producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We got a couple more people to thank. Let's do that now.
Do it.
Starting with Frank S.
Frank S.
came in on the Patreon, so joining the monthly producership. Thank you, Frank Sinatra, for joining.
Thank you, Frank S.
Next up, we've got Sir Casey the Shield Knight on a 219 episode streak.
Oh yeah, streakalicious.
Here we go. We've got Veronica D on a 184 episode streak.
Thank you, Veronica D. Also, Sir Casey. Sorry about that. Thank you, Sir Casey and Veronica D. Go ahead, continue.
It's been a while since you've had a co-host on, huh? Next up, we've got Sir Darren out of the Hungry Pandas, 59 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Darren.
Thank you to Dame Gail, 184 episodes in a row. It looks like you missed her on Wednesday. Is that what this note says here? You missed her on Wednesday,
I think
on
so,
Friday's
yeah.
show?
I think I counted.
Do you make up for it?
I think
Okay,
I
you
did.
made up for it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's Dame Gail. Canary, Whisperer, and Lady of the X's and O's. Thank you, Dame Gail. We have Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 207 episodes in a row.
207.
Oh, yeah. Streakalicious.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
And a Runk Smash coming in with 4 episodes in a row. You restarted that streak.
Yes, we worked through that as well while you were gone.
He loves those. He loves the. Oh, you got. Yeah, yes. He sent us a very explicit note, but that's why there's 2 of us.
It sounds like
those
you're being
early
covered,
streak jingles.
What was that? You sound like you're being covered in sand or something. You're slowly drowning and being pulled into some kind of abyss.
Well, this show that doesn't surprise me. In a way, sort of metaphorically, that's exactly what's happening. So we'll see how long it lasts, Gons. At some point...
You're coming in clear.
Okay, good. I was just saying, this is part of what I was messaging you, was like, we at some point we have to learn, like, when it is just more, it's just better to just not keep reconnecting and disconnecting and creating some sort of vortex of shame and pain
and
that
anxiety
is
for our listeners and viewers.
Yeah,
that's.
I can't imagine that it's very fun. There must be a number, of disconnect and reconnects that make for an actually listenable show.
Yeah,
I don't know what
zero.
Yeah, right. I don't know what that number is, but
one of these numbers has to go to 0.
I am certain that we have surpassed that this episode, so we'll see how things go. But I think that's it. I think that is all. Thank you for for all of our producers who make this show happen. It's not just the producers that get read on the show, but also we have the monthly producers that it really saves our butts in those times when things get economically uncertain. So if you would like to help us stabilize that even more, remember, you can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support and join, or perhaps on
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. There's the supply drop too. There's all sorts of stuff.
I know there's supply drop. Before we do, how they talk about how, when co-hosts talk over each other, it's called stepping, like stepping on someone. I know the analogy, but for some reason today it feels like I'm physically stepping on your face.
Yeah.
Because your audio your audio cuts out as you get stepped on, so it sounds like you're just getting, you get pulled into the sand hole as I step on you.
It's so painful, and I feel that physically on my face when you do that. It's very nice. Anyways, we probably just need to keep this show going. So thank you, everybody, for supporting us, making sure that this masterpiece can continue, and I promise it'll be over soon. But things will be back to normal. I've never missed my military grade wireless off-grid internet more than I do at this exact moment.
As an off-grid man as you are, I'm surprised you don't have your own internet rig and your own sort of beacon to, either bounce off the signal or, amplify it somehow off the ionosphere.
I have the Starlink, but I would need like a whole separate suitcase for the Starlink.
You'd be that guy.
I'd have to check it in at the airport. That'd be ridiculous. Okay. Thank you all for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Let's wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Let's eat some food. I'm hungry. All right, we have Indy100.com article, and the headline here: Newsmax producer thinks Impossible Burgers are implanted with Bill Gates chips. Now, given that headline,
it's been a while since we've had something like this.
Yeah. So given the headline, you would expect that somebody was very serious about Impossible Burgers being implanted with Bill Gates chips, as the headline states, but I don't know. It says here in the article by Indy 100, a Newsmax producer made a bizarre claim that Impossible Burgers are planted with Bill Gates microchips. Parenthetical, they're not. Okay, they're not, Basil. The video footage shared on Twitter, host Eric Bowling of The Balance was speaking with producers for a segment called Meat Eaters versus Vegans that addressed the beef Whoppers and plant-based Impossible Whoppers and blind taste testing. I have the clip here, and speaking of stepping on each other, speaking of producers, it's all here, Basil. And let me play the clip for you now.
Oh, I can. Eric, I definitely can.
Oh, let me set it up. Sorry, this is kind of confusing. So the Eric Bowling, the host, is that his name? Yeah, Eric Bowling. The setup here is that, hey, if we give you, and he's got these two ladies on screen, they're both producers, as they will be addressed as. They were asked the question, or sort of implied, like, hey, I bet if you guys take a blind test to a real burger versus a fake burger, you won't be able to tell the difference. And if they're both nutritionally valuable, then what difference does it make? And this was their response.
Oh, I can.
Eric, this isn't about taste. This isn't about taste, though. This isn't about taste. It's about knowing that you're eating something that was made in a lab.
You guys are producers. You guys are producers. You know you're not supposed to talk at the same time. Alana, you first. You go first. I mean, come on. If it tastes the same and it's healthier.
No, that's not the point. I think the point is that this is made in a lab. It's Bill Gates has decided that all of us have to eat man-made meat. I want the real thing. I want it to come from the real source. It's not about the way it tastes. Congratulations for making something that tastes a little bit like the original. I want to eat something that's real. That's the real thing that came from the earth, from the planet, that was actually intended for us to be eating, not out of a lab that's made of, I don't know what, made of chemicals, implanted with chips. I don't want to eat Bill Gates' fake meat. I don't. Eric, just the point is, I'd rather eat the real thing or nothing at all.
I agree with you. That's what Mariana, I'm not suggesting, and I won't eat a lab-based plant thing. Okay. I mean, these are basically soy-based. A lot of these, most of them are soy-based, and they're mixed with other stuff, but they're not grown in a lab. They're actually really from the earth. A lot. But go ahead,
you know what else came out of a lab? You know what else came out of a lab, right, Eric? A little virus that came out of a lab. A little virus that took the planet down for 2 years. Just that.
Oh, such horrible people.
So many things. There's a lot going on there, huh?
A lot. There's the producer stepping on each other. There's the comment about the microchips.
Not the most articulate bunch either. Look. And I understand I'm not the most articulate bunch myself, but I also don't have, corporate funding like Newsmax does. Okay, so obviously she was just trying to be funny, talking about microchips and trying to kind of forcing it a little bit. To be honest, it wasn't funny. It wasn't really well constructed as a joke. She was just kind of trying to hit the buzzwords, the ones that she knew the Newsmax audience would connect with. Yes, leaning into the whole thing.
Tickling the ears.
And of course she doesn't think that there's microchips in there, but it's so fun to write about.
Right, and that's the thing is, like, it's the reporting on Indy 100 is just based on that, and they make it sound, obviously we've gone over this methodology, and again, like you said, it's been a while since we've seen it really played out, where they build literally the headline is a straw man. I mean, there's no actual basis for this, not her statement, but just the way that they're reporting her statement. But they continue to just, press it. But they're getting clicks too. They know what they're doing.
It's a dishonest. They didn't have to write that headline the way it is, too. Yeah. Newsmax producer thinks Impossible Burgers are implanted with Bill Gates microchips. They didn't even have to really say thinks there. They should have said Newsmax producer says Impossible Burgers are implanted. Because then, you're not baiting and switching anybody. You don't lose credibility from your readers. The whole downside of this sort of thing that CNN is trying their best to correct on their own thing, and yet you've got all these independent guys trying to be mainstream. They haven't caught on. They haven't learned the lessons the hard way.
Yeah, and of course it goes into some Twitter responses, which is news now.
Well, Gons, it's not the microchips you got to worry about. Okay, I'm heading.
Really?
I'm heading on over here to Vice.
Oh, good.
Because got more important things to worry about. This is Motherboard Tech by Vice. Scientists and the military want us to eat food made from plastic. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
Little subheadline gives away, it's kind of burying the lead a bit, but the subheadline, DARPA-funded research seeks to tackle the climate crisis and global hunger by producing a protein powder from plastic and bacteria. Thanks, DARPA. Thanks again, DARPA.
They love us. They really care for us.
Biologist Stephen Techtman wants people to eat plastic. He isn't imagining anybody chowing down on Funko Pops, haha, millennials, but rather plastic in safer, palatable, powdered form. You could swig after a grueling iron sesh at the gym. Ooh,
you can see
iron sesh.
Tailored to a perceived younger crowd. I would say just more arrested, developed crowd.
It's Vice. Grueling iron sesh? What does that even mean? Chugging down a plastic...
What does it mean? You haven't done a grueling iron sesh?
Gons, if somebody has talked you into saying you've done a grueling iron sesh, they are not your friend. Chugging down a plastic-derived protein powder for gains would come up with an unexpected ecological advantage, fighting the rise tide of plastic waste. Let me read that again. Word for word, as it is written on Vice. Chugging down a plastic-derived protein powder for gains would come up with an unexpected ecological advantage, fighting the rise tide of plastic waste. Simply how it is written, folks. Plastic pollution.
I get to be beefy and save the planet.
The rise tide. Not a rising tide, just the rise tide. Plastic pollution is a colossal problem worldwide. According to the UN Environment Programme, humans have been creating plastic waste more than ever since the early 2000s. With about 400 million tons generated annually, most of that waste circulates our waterways and oceans, where there are literal garbage patches rivaling the size of Texas. While cleaning up is doable, and there are... yeah, we could clean it up. It's totally doable. But why clean it up if we could just eat it? And I've lost him.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there we go. I'm back. Okay. While cleaning up is doable and there are various organizations engaged in the task, it's not without its challenges, both in terms of scale and recyclability. Only 9% of plastic waste actually gets recycled. Much of that has to do with how labor-intensive and expensive the process is. Plastic's worth also degrades with time with each reuse, making new plastic is cheap. Jeez Louise. Remember the story where they were making gummy bears out of fiberglass?
Yeah, that wasn't too long ago. Just a few weeks.
Yeah, so we're gonna be chugging down plastic protein powder, fiberglass gummy bears. But scientists, including Techtman, are looking toward biodegradation and repurposing plastic. At his lab at Michigan Technical University, bacteria with hearty stomachs, in quotes, are treated like microbial guinea pigs, chomping down on processed plastic to churn out an edible protein-rich byproduct. That's what I love.
So it's bacteria poo. It's
bacteria poo
that have become bacteria poo.
Gains, bro. It's all for the gains.
And green. Ooh,
the idea.
We need to just come up with the name and TM that thing.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll definitely follow through with that idea, like we do all the other ideas we have. The idea basically is that humans could one day consume this byproduct. Stop calling it a byproduct, maybe. And then it kind of goes into it, talking about the little bugs that eat the little guys. You know, the whole science process, the little bugs that eat the little guys, and it makes the little powder, and then you snort it and you get gains. Quote, my background has always been in trying to study bacteria from the environment and how we can use them to solve problems, said Techtman in an interview. Quote, I had been working on oil spill cleanups for a long time when I was thinking how oil and plastic have a lot of things in common. Yeah, no kidding.
I like this right here. So there's a couple things.
Plastic is derived from oil originally.
Right.
Yeah.
The official name of the No. I think I'm a little further along. I'm not sure. The official name of the project is Biological Plastic Reuse by Olefin and Ester Transforming Engineered Isolates and Natural Consortia.
That's catchy.
Or Bioprotein.
Whoa.
It's a multidisciplinary effort partly funded by DARPA that brings together biologists, engineers, and chemists across Michigan Tech to realize a concept that feels firmly within the realm of science fiction. And then this next part. While still a work in progress, Techtman's team have managed to create small amounts of this protein powder, which no one has yet tested, but he says smells fairly yeasty and aromatic like Vegemite. Aussies rejoice. That actually says
yes. Yes, it does. Have you tried the Vegemite? Are you aware of the Vegemite?
I'm aware of them. I've never tried it, but just this idea that they have it, but they're like, no one touched that. Like, it smells good though.
You know, this idea. Recently, we've had issues with asbestos in baby powder.
Oh yeah,
and
a lot of issues with the baby stuff. Yeah,
all these sort of horrible things. You know, we've got glyphosate popping up in all of our foods. I think there was something like 90% of store-bought hummus had glyphosate detected in it, you know, detectable amounts of glyphosate. It's kind of like, we're not even really going to bother. We're just going to feed you trash, and you just
eat it.
Get your gains.
Get your gains.
Eat your trash. Get your gains. Stop complaining, and get vaccinated. Well, because this is just the way. The fact that the whole goal is to eat our waste. There's something just horrific about this.
Hey, just combine it with a grueling iron sesh, and everybody is healthy, live longer, supposedly.
Yeah. I'm doing a skim. I'm doing some skimming here. Mm-hmm. And none of this makes it sound very appetizing. It gets into some pretty seriously dense, sciencey, I don't know, processes on this whole thing. Yes. It's not making it sound any more tasty. You know, maybe part of the problem, reaction, solution here.
And you got cut off right when you were about to explain the problem, reaction, solution. Oh no. Okay, well, let me try it again. Skype asking me how many stars I should rate this call. How about no stars? Yeah. All right, hold on. Let me try to call Basil up here again. Oh boy. He was on a rant. All right, I'm saving everybody from the sound of...
Keep doing this, Gons.
Just finish your thought. Finish your thought about the problem, reaction, solution, because that was a good one.
It's all gone.
Oh,
you missed the whole thing. You missed the whole thing. It was so good.
You can redo it.
Yeah, so you lost me at problem, reaction, solution.
Literally as you were about to explain it.
Yeah, that's how it goes, huh? Well, so it's a bit of a problem, reaction, solution, which is, man, it won't be as
it's okay. Nobody
brilliant.
knows. Nobody heard
won't
it
be
except
as brilliant
the Lord. The Lord
and
is like, good job, Basil. Just
Gons,
package version.
You're a producer, Gons. You know you're not supposed to talk over me, okay? It's called something. Yeah, gotcha. Call back. Anywho, yes, so it's something akin to, hey, okay, you're not going to recycle. You humans, you're going to keep using plastics. You just love your plastics too much. You can't get rid of your plastics. Well, pick up your plastic, you little plastic piggy. Now eat it. You like that? You want your plastic? Yes, chomp it down, get your gains, and you know, go live your life, something like that.
Save the planet is the message.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, save the planet, get gains, eat your plastic.
Eat your plastic, get gains, save the planet.
Yeah,
and somebody profits at the end of that. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Get ready. Oh, part of it was, I think maybe stories like, you're going to eat your fiberglass gummy bears. You're going to eat your plastic protein powder. I could see it as part of the long strategy for the eat your bugs messaging.
Yeah, you got to ease them into it. Can't all do it at once.
You know, if you had a choice between eating plastic and eating bugs, I think eventually people would land on the bugs. At least they're, some sort of not plastic thing.
No, it's the whole political thing where they present to you, they degrade, they desensitize you to a point where you're just kind of like, oh, well, if it's between bugs and plastic, obviously the bugs is the way to go. The Lord's creation.
It's the better of the two evils.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? You want to vote for Democrats or Republicans? Okay, choose one. Okay, what do you want to do? You want to eat plastic or you want to eat bugs? Take your pick. We don't care. Those are your choices.
Fantastic. Let's continue with the show here. We have a Beast System update here.
Speaking of the Beast System, Beast System.
And this is the Daily Beast bringing this story, which I thought was very interesting, and I'll have a little take on it. But we're not going to read the whole article. We'll start reading from sort of the relevant point. But the headline is "The Mysterious Fifth Evangelist Who Created the Bible as We Know It." Ooh. Mm-hmm. Matthew, Mark,
Daily
Luke.
Beast.
Yeah. Matthew, Mark, Luke, Eusebius, and I don't know why they didn't put John. I don't know why they didn't put, because it says fifth evangelist. They only anyway. Here's what the article says. Well, let me start reading it. If you have been around sort of our fringy alt Christian, whatever you want to call it, that's sort of a public label. Then you would know, especially from Chris White. Chris White did a lot of Bible studies and stuff where he would bring up the fact that the idea of chapter and verse was not always present in the Word. This is a modern. It wasn't
there in the original writings.
Right. Yeah, it's a modern thing, and it came from Eusebius. He's the guy that brought this to light, or at least organized it. And there's an interesting take that the Daily Beast is sort of presenting here as part of the I guess the narrative or the unfolding of this stuff. So I thought I had it highlighted where I was supposed to start, but I do not. It goes through some of the history here.
Paragraph 6 is the
Eusebius.
one that
Yeah, enter Eusebius, the man whose invention made reading the gospel in parallel possible. Because the whole idea was, in prior times, you couldn't read the Bible, verse. You couldn't compare passages. It was much too difficult to do because everyone.
Well, there were no passages. There's no numbers, no chapters. Yeah,
you read the 5th sentence in one book at the 13th. I mean, it was just too hard. It is basically a carefully organized reference tool that allows you to navigate books. In a period before chapter and verse divisions, Eusebius and his team of literary assistants divided the canonical gospels into numbered sections and produced a set of coordinating reference tables that allow readers to cross-reference versions of the same story in other Gospels. This was an important innovation in book technology in general. As Coogan put it, quote, "The Eusebian apparatus is the first system of cross-references ever invented, not just for the Gospels, but for any text," end quote. Reference tables might not seem sexy, but by producing them, Eusebius inaugurated a trend that would dominate how Christians ever since have read the Bible.
To be clear, Eusebius's breakdown of the Bible was not, I don't believe it was technically the chapter and verse we have today, but he created sort of the first version of that,
right? Yeah,
where you could, where you could approach the Bible in sort of a systematic way, right. Something like what we have now with chapter and verse, but different. I mean, that distinction is not very important, but just thought we'd throw it out there.
The development or the beginnings of that development.
Yeah.
The enormity of his innovation is hard to see precisely because it has become ubiquitous. We thread the different sayings of Jesus from the cross together into one story. We merge the infancy stories of Matthew and Luke together to produce a single shepherd and wise men-filled nativity story. These decisions are relatively uncomplicated, but we should consider the amount of decision-making that went into the production of this reading scheme. First, the team had to decide on unit divisions. What is a unit? Where does it begin and where does it end? While today church services have designed readings, designated readings, early Christians often read for a, quote, long as time permitted. In segmenting the gospel, the Eusebian team was cementing pre-existing yet informal distinctions about what constituted a particular story, episode, or section of the life of Jesus. Once this was accomplished, each unit had to be correlated to the corresponding units in other gospels. Some decisions seem easy. Jesus feeds 5,000 people in all 4 gospels, for example. But there is an additional story relayed by Mark and Luke in which he feeds 4,000 people. What should we do with them? What about chronological discrepancies? The incident in the Jerusalem temple where Jesus gets into a physical dispute with money changers appears in the final week of his life in the Synoptics, but kicks off his ministry in the Gospel of John. Are they the same story? Did Jesus cleanse the temple twice? These were, and indeed are, live questions for Christian readers, but by drawing up his tables, Eusebius and his team provided answers by means of a simple chart. A great deal of interpretation and theological work happens in the construction of the chart, but the tables seem to be factual accounting. Instead of argumentation that makes itself open to disagreement, we see only beguilingly agent-less lines and numbering. This kind of schematization might seem to be the ancient equivalent of administrative or clerical work. Indeed, it drew upon technologies and practices from ancient administration, mathematics, astrology, medicine, magic, and culinary arts. The portraits from the Ethiopian Garima Gospel, however, capture an often hidden truth. Schematization is theological work. Segmenting the Bible and mapping its contents created theologically motivated juxtapositions and connections. For example, by connecting the story of divine creation from the prologue of the Gospel of John, parentheses, in the beginning was the Word, to the genealogies of Matthew and Luke, and so begat so-and-so parts, the Eusebian team could underscore the divine and human origins of Jesus. Equally important, they instructed the reader to read the Gospels in a new way, a way that reoriented the original organization. If this shift seems unimportant or intuitive to us, it is only because we have so thoroughly absorbed it. And then goes into a couple more examples. We don't have to go through all the examples here. Let me get to the later part of the article. The truth is, however, that any kind of supplementary material, scholars call them paratexts, like an index or a table of contents, creates new ways to read the text. Matthew or Mark may have wanted you to read their stories linearly from start to finish, but Eusebius and his team gave you a new way to read. You can hunt and peck between the bindings. Reading out of order can be powerful work, as Will Gaffney's A Woman's Lectionary for the Whole Church is. Okay, because it creates new pathways through the text that disrupt the ways that the authors meant the text to be read. Most authors don't write narratives with the expectation that people will just use Google to search inside it. While Eusebius was never formally denounced as a heretic, some of his opinions, including some of the judgments that inform his apparatus, were pretty unorthodox. Like Origen, he was sympathetic to views about the nature of Christ and would later be condemned as heresy. That would later be condemned as heresy. It's probably because of the ambiguities surrounding his theological views that Eusebius, one of the most influential figures in Christian history, never became a saint. But his story proves that it is sometimes invisible actors who are the most powerful of all. The invisible actors are the most powerful of all. And yeah. So it's interesting that, it's kind of a mixture of a lot of what we talk about, the advent of technology, robotics, all this stuff, and how it changes or at least influences the way we read scripture or understand scripture. And my take has always been, and from the beginning of doing all this ministry stuff and doing all the online stuff and Age of Deceit and everything else, has been with this question in mind of, okay, well, how relevant is the Word of God? Like how applicable is it to us in the 21st century here? And if it truly is the Word of God, then it should address every generation. There should be a transcending quality to the Word, which is something I found to be true. And it's ironic because in this article, they're sort of trying to say like, well, who knew that every Christian today is only reading the Bible the way they are, understanding the Word the way they are because of Eusebius, the guy who came up with an index of sentences, and it's, if the Word of God gets destroyed because you make a catalog of the verses, then maybe, it's not so powerful. But interestingly enough, I'm reminded of Daniel 12, verse 4. This is a pretty popular passage in our milieu, but here's what it says. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Talking about the end times here and how knowledge will be increased. And we've talked about it in general knowledge, but also probably biblical knowledge. And how would biblical knowledge spread? And I think it would be through technology. And, because even for me, I always use an app and I'm looking up words and, I do it. The way I approach, or not approach necessarily, but just study the Bible is definitely likely a little bit different from somebody a couple hundred years ago who had access to this stuff. So, I think it affects the way we understand or study the Word, but also it, for me, it's like, oh, well, all this prophecy stuff, or at least the eschatology stuff. And Basil, I'm trying to coin a phrase or a term. Are you still there? You're under a lot of sand, which is okay. But I've been trying to coin a word, eschatomics, pertaining to eschatology, eschatomics. What do you think?
Is there not already a word that means that?
Probably. I don't think the word eschatomics really exists proper, though. I don't know.
It sounds like a proper word.
It does, right? It does. That's why I was like, hey, maybe it is, but I didn't see anything when I did my little search. But
you got to add techno-eschatomics.
Techno-eschatomics.
Which is how you do, it's using technology.
Right. Okay. But yeah.
Well, I liked in this breakdown of it referring to the book technology, because I think we're in an era, well, I mean, I guess we've always been in an era that is similar in.
Oh, no, you got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me.
Am I back? I'm back.
You're back.
I'm here.
You're back.
Okay. Because it really was considered like a new technology, this sort of I don't know if you kind of went away for a couple times. I don't know if you read the parts in the article about sort of applying bureaucracy to the Bible in a way that, so this was like a technology, these reference tables that he made, sort of proto chapter and verse type of thing. And both of us, we both have copies of the Bible that actually had the chapter and verses taken out.
Yes.
which is a really fascinating way to read.
It's actually very cool. I love.
It's kind of fun. Like you can just read, you just keep going.
Yeah.
And I really resonated with this part of the article, because if you get your hands on a version of the Bible that has the chapters and verses taken out, you really do realize that it was written. It had like a flow to it. Like you could just you could just read forever. You don't come to an end of a chapter. You don't come to an end of something. It's one thing kind of flows. One scene flows into a next, flows into the next. And a lot of I think there are some technological pitfalls to simply, what Eusebius or whatever this guy's name is, kind of introduced technologically to the Bible, which is, maybe it made it easier to reference, verses and memorize verses and guide yourself and others to certain parts of the Bible much easier. It would be almost impossible without it. But then you have the pitfalls like cherry picking, and there's even certain aspects of sort of biblical numerology that rely on chapter and verse, which weren't added until fairly recently, as far as the history of the text is concerned. And so again, when we talk about new technologies brought or applied to the scriptures, and you could really, they mention like word searches and stuff like that, and that's one version of it. But also, AI. What would AI bring? Like AI applied to scripture, what good things would come of that, what bad things would come of that. And when you think of like the future of Christianity, what does Christianity look like in 100 years? It would be absolutely silly to think that it would look the same. Perhaps the theology would be close enough. Perhaps the teachings and the morals and it's maybe the eschatology, the church function would be the same, but what things would be different? Maybe you wouldn't even have the Bible ever laid out in order, because once, I don't know, I'm just sort of pontificating now, but like, what would the Bible even look like in 100 years, where structuring the text in any order might become entirely sort of archaic?
Why just upload the word into your brain? You don't need to do this line by line. You just get the whole package. You just unzip the file and
you have access to each verse, each word equally and simultaneously, and something like that. Now we're going off into kind of woo-woo land, and not to say that it's we're looking forward to this, but you think about what interacting with the text of the Bible looks like in 100 years. It could be almost nothing like it is now. And it's that question, which is sort of the core question that we've been exploring for pretty much our entire careers, is in the context of technology and the contents of the Bible. There's an intersection there, and coming at that intersection intentionally and actually thinking about it, instead of letting like Zondervan decide how the Bible can be interacted with whatever the newest technology. It's just sort of a fascinating thing to kind of let your mind wander on.
So there you go. It's interesting that this is even being brought into a mainstream outlet like the DailyBeast and bringing up this conversation. We have the whole Christian nationalist debate taking place. It feels like that was like a grenade that was thrown into the right-wing conservative camp so that everyone can either take sides or argue, or it's just a kind of a distraction for amongst those who are of that side of the aisle. And so meanwhile, the DailyBeast being more of a progressive type of outlet, bringing more sophisticated conversations to the table, but obviously the takeaway being like, they're all just a bunch of crazies, and the unseen hand is influencing how all these people read their Bibles and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And it does ask an interesting question, like how important is it to know that history, or how important, is it important at all? It's an interesting question. There would certainly be lots of people who would find it, even the sort of historical breakdown of this, to be kind of a threat. I remember when I got my version of the Bible that had the chapters and verses taken out, there were some people, I would kind of like talk about it because I was excited at the time, who felt kind of threatened, like, oh, that's not my Bible. I love my chapters and verses. Like, okay, you can do that. I'm not telling you need to get rid of them. I'm just saying it's an interesting thing. And who knows? Maybe they're the smarter ones. We'll know someday.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Well, let's take another break here. Or you got something?
Thanks, Stu. No, I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thanking producers.
Break.
This is break. Don't just consume the content, but
become the content. Become the content.
I love the losing signal sound from Skype in the background as we go into the second break here, where we thank our producers who come in with their talent. God gave all of us talents. It's another way to help produce the show, help build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. All we ask is that you do something that is directly for the show. Let's just keep moving forward. Like the horses with the blinders on. Just move forward. Keep potting forward here. We're going to start off with some audio production.
Audio production.
We have producers who come in with their audio production, and today I want to highlight here some stuff that was sent in by Brother G. Thank you, Brother G, for sending in this huge list of jingles that we cannot play all of in one episode. I believe there were 54 files in this I guess email drop of jingles that came in, and he had some of his favorites that he would have liked us to highlight. We'll do that on the next episode. Well, we got plenty here. But in the meantime, I did want to play a couple of them because they're good. They're fun. It's all in good fun here. So let's see. We have... hold on. Let me see. Let me double check and make sure I got these files correct. No, that is completely wrong. That would have been bad. Playing the wrong jingles. Oh no, what happened to my jingle stuff? Oh boy. Now we're in real trouble if we can't even get the correct. Oh, here we go. All right. I was in the wrong folder that has the same name. Yeah. Good call. A good call on my end to do that to myself. All right. So here's the first Brother G jingle.
Devil worshiper.
Fantastic ISO of our buddy AJ. Now, there's another one from Alex Jones.
The canary in the coal mine.
Yep. He's a big fan of the show is what I hear. And also this one's good.
Death is a preferable alternative to communism.
I can't tell if that's Alex Jones also, but those are three fantastic ISOs that will go into the vault here, and we'll hopefully use them. A lot of fun. I like these, especially the Canary in a Coal Mine one.
The canary in the coal mine.
Yeah. So it almost feels like Alex Jones is saying the name of our show. It's the closest we'll ever get. Not that I'm a huge Alex Jones fan. It's just, he's the loudest guy out there when it comes to this stuff. And also probably part of the controlled opposition. I don't think he's a devil worshiper, but you never know.
Devil worshiper.
Thank you, Brother G. Appreciate it. We'll definitely go through. He's got a bunch more. We got 51 more to go through, so we'll take a few episodes to do that. Thank you for that. All right, next up, we'll do some art.
One art, please.
And we'll kick it off with the Dame Alley of the Skillet Nation.
One art, please. Another one from Alley now. Here it is.
And this one is accompanied by a haiku, and it's very appropriate, apropos for our show today. Parlor tricks. A Dame Ebony Blaze haiku. So many headlines. Ye is in the news again and again. Will he buy Parler? George Floyd's family's big mad. And people groups next? Which people groups next? It's been that kind of day, folks. Messing up the haiku, too. I'm sorry, Dame Ebony Blaze. Really, really slugging through this one. And yes, this portrait is of Ye in all of his glory there. Looking real sharp. Kind of got a little confused look, a little, I don't know, airy, sort of lost in his thoughts, lost in his imagination. A big Jesus concert that he's been talking about for years. Let me zoom into those eyes. Yeah, difficult to see, but certainly, if you look carefully, you see the lizardly shape of his eye. Both eyes, actually. And perhaps that is the case. Perhaps Ye is being led astray and is being sort of propped up as the new Pied Piper for all the truthers to follow as we build the fork economy apart from the JP Morgans and all the central banks. We have our new celebrity banks. We have the Ye Bank. Then we'll probably have, what's another celebrity out there? Hulk Hogan Bank. I don't know why Hulk Hogan came. Macho Man Bank. And then you read Revelation 13 about the mark of the beast and how everyone has to have it, or you can't buy or sell, and it starts to all make sense. There you go. Thank you very much, Dame Allie. Fantastic job, as always. And, continue the great work and the amazing streak that Allie and also Dame Ebony Blaze have been on when it comes to producing the show in this particular way with the art. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to Sir Dove, Knight of Ruspeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
Needs a note here. Piece for today's artwork. I did a photo edit from our Feast of Tabernacles meetup this weekend. We forgot to do the old speak pipe, but I'm happy to report it was a great success. That's good. Thank you for showing up, all those people there. Some of the Ruspeltia crew couldn't make it due to some tragic circumstances, so please keep them in prayer. Okay, real quick here. Producers, assemble! Producers out there, pray for some of the Ruspeltia crew. They couldn't make it to the meetup under some tragic circumstances, so whatever that is, just pray for the comfort and just the eternal belief of the Lord, and just have that as something to let these guys know that we're there for you. So yes, producers, get on it. But we had a total, and back to the note here, but we had a total of 15 people camping out in the middle of October in Pennsylvania. So I think it was a pretty good turnout. Yeah. I wouldn't know Pennsylvania weather necessarily, but October, I'm guessing it's a little bit colder, I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Is it hot? Chat, tell me. Is it really hot in October in Pennsylvania, or is it get really cold? We really had a great time with everyone, and I can't say how important these meetups are. Thank you guys for all you do. The community you've created is invaluable to us. Sir Dove. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Appreciate it. And this art piece, this photo edit here, it's got the Canary Cry Ruspeltia Meetup 2 logo, Feast of Tabernacles, at the top, overlaying the photo of the crew that showed up. And every single one of these people, it seems they have their own custom faces, whether it's a dove face, which I think is evident here, but also the fishes have the fish face, and then everybody else gets their own sort of generic canary for their face. And then at the bottom it says Bald Eagle State Forest, Pennsylvania, with a eagle giving a thumbs up. So there you go. Fantastic. Looked like it was a lot of fun. And if there is, I don't know if there was an audio report at all. Let us know, Sir Dove, if there was, but it sounds like there wasn't. But that's okay. We, as long as there were people there and you guys we're able to fellowship and have a good time and have good conversations and make lasting friendships and brotherhoods, sisterhoods, family, and it's all in good. So there you go. Thank you very much, Sir Dove, and thank you for helping organize that meetup out there. I'm sure that Ruspeltia Meetup 3, actually, I don't know. Is it in conversation? Is it in thoughts already or being planned already? I would assume that there's some conversation taking place along those lines. So if you missed this one, definitely make sure to hit up the next one. I'm sure there'll be one sometime soon. So there you go. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Let's see. We have Brother G, who came in. He's the one that came in with a bunch of jingles. He also came in with some GIFs. It's graphic interlaced something. I forget. The whole debate about GIF or GIF. I say GIF because it stands for graphic something or other. Unless you want to start calling it graphic, but that's a whole different thing. Brother G sent in a bunch of GIFs. This first one is a cyber pandemic GIF, which is pretty good. Some of these files were really big, so I had some trouble playing it in the browser, but it takes a second to load. But there you go. You have the cyber pandemic GIF there with, it says cyber pandemic. It's got some sloppy, or it's kind of like what are they called? I don't know. You got the virus little virus balls moving around, but there's also I forget what it's called. Not mesh. I forget what it's called. There's a name for this style of nodes and sort of a mesh look, or there's there's some digital things going on. What a horrible description of this GIF. Thank you very much for that one. Got a couple more here. He's got the RRR spray paint, which is basically the colorful palette page, or like the default thing that happens on video. If you remember the VHS days, it's, that little color panel. And there's a little pop-up that says, "This is not a test. Emergency podcast system incoming message for your area," which is very good. I like it. I like the idea of what this represents and what we can do in order to, in case something goes down, like today when Basil just continues to come in and out. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the emergency podcast system. The next one is the RRR spray paint. And this is, it's got like an outlet or an outline of Russia, some satellite. I think it's a Russian satellite. And then I think you got Stalin, Gorbachev, and Putin there. And then in the background, you got missiles pop in. Looks kind of like an After Effect thing here with a bunch of different layers. But very good. Oh, there's some jets that fly by. I like it. There's a lot of activity. Oh, there's a satellite that rolls through. So yeah, very good. And it's got kind of it looks like it's sort of on a brick wall, and it says Russia in English and then also Russian, I think. Oh, there's missiles dropping. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on in this one. This is fantastic. Maybe we'll use this next time we talk about Russia. And then there's one more, which is the CCNT PSB9 GIF. It's another one of those that takes a moment to load. And there you go. It's sort of a please stand by look with the, it's kind of the old timey circles with the bird going on and sort of a film effect happening here. Very cool. Again, very useful in the occasions like today when technology is not helping us do the show. So thank you very much, Brother G, for all of these. And if you have any art or any skill in the realm of sound, audio, video production, visuals, please think about contributing with your talent. And there you go. Let's move on here. We do have a microfiction today.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
Yeah, and it is from Wrong Smash.
Wrong Smash.
And it goes a little something like this. Chasing the links, Chris finds a picture that triggers something deep in him. A crowd of people, anonymized by googly eyes. One is wearing a fanny pack full of sticks. Part of him feels like he's been missing for a long time, like he's different. A few days go by. Chris tries to forget the man with the sticks, but he's immediately brought back to it when he sees a billboard with a gold-clad Asian man shouting, "Get your Eskatronics Dow coin now!" Who are these Canary people? I'm just picturing a drone shot of a big crowd, flying over a huge crowd, and all those people have googly eyes on, and they're all chanting, and then a big Asian man on a billboard talking about Eskatronics Dow. which is good. Eskatronics Dow. Maybe that's the mark of the beast. But there you go. Thank you very much, Rung Smash. Appreciate the microfiction. And again, if you have your talents, please contribute to the show. It's content. It provides content for the show. So it's not just us rambling the whole time, which, some people like the ramble. Others can only take so much, especially when it's just me. Could use a Basil rant right about now. All right, let's wake up. And, if you do have something to share with the show as far as talent is concerned, email it to us, canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com, and let us know. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Let's wake up. Let's do our last. Oh, I forgot to do SpeakPipe.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
All right, we got a couple messages here. If you go to canarycrynewstalk.com, you'll see a green tab on the right side or the bottom. Click on that. It'll open up a little window where you can record a message for us and for the entire community, up to 90 seconds. This first one is from Micah.
Hey, Basil and Gons, Canary family. This is Micah. And I'm usually not the type to ask for help or anything like that, but I really need the producers right now. My wife was diagnosed with kidney cancer a few weeks ago, and we were set up a surgery to get that removed in December. It's far away, but it's not as far as it could be. But we also found that she has a mass on her spine as well. We have no clue what it is. They've done some tests, and we still don't know what it is. So if you can put my wife in your prayers, and things are already starting to add up. It just seems like one thing after another. We would really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yes, Micah and Micah's wife. We are praying for you, and let's make it official. Let's call upon the producers here.
Producers, assemble!
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks to hear stuff like that. But again, we're here. We're praying for you, and it's good for. I'll say this. Try to put a little positive spin, which is that it's a good reminder, at least for me. I don't know about Basil, probably for Basil too. It's a good reminder to us as sort of the co-hosts of the podcast here that our woes here of technology failing us is really just nothing. It does not matter a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. And this type of stuff is much more serious. But at the same time, we hope that we're able to sort of bring relief, or at least just a moment where you can forget about all that and just listen to some stories, listen to some banter. And because it's everyone's facing a lot of challenges, but especially for Micah and his wife here, a lot of unknowns. Pray for them, pray for healing, pray for clarity. And I know the Lord will move, because he always does. But we always know that it will all turn out for good no matter what. So, yeah, there you go. Micah, I'm sorry to hear about that. But yes, we are on it. We are all praying for you. I'm seeing people praying already in the chats for you. So there you go. And keep us posted on how things are going. All right. Next up, we have a message from Rochelle.
This is a request from Johnny for Enoch's 10 weeks. Heavenly visions and holy angels, Enoch tells us of heavenly tables, his place in time among the lords divine. Week 2 brings wicked evil, watcher angels upheaval. During week 3, promise prosperity. Time for week 4, holy visions galore. By the end of week 5, the temple comes alive. But the 6th week is very bleak. Before week 7, one ascends to heaven. The 7th week of apostate. Then the 8th work serves the greater great. The 9th week sounds like the white throne judgment, as the earth is written down for destruction. Judgment of the angels, the 10th week brings. The first heaven's gone, the second heaven sings. Heavenly visions and holy angels, Enoch tells us of the heavenly tables.
There you go. Thank you very much, Rochelle. And yeah, Rochelle was taking some requests and brought up the Book of Enoch as possibly one to turn into a musical piece. So it was very beautiful. Thank you very much, Rochelle. And yeah, I think she's still taking requests. So get in contact with Rochelle if you'd like to hear some part of scripture in music form. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right, let's get to the last part of the show here, and got to get up on out of here. We got a little Antarctica story.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go burn.
It's a snowstorm. Antarctica. Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
Yeah, part of this was we were hoping for Basil to be able to get up here because, we need dinosaur noises for this one, because Cincinnati.com headline, Dinosaurs of Antarctica exhibition at Cincinnati Museum Center. Okay, so if you're in Cincinnati or near the Cincinnati Museum Center, you got the Dinosaurs of Antarctica exhibition. What are you doing? Go there. Give us a boots on the ground report. But I'll give you something right off the bat here. There's a picture from the thing here. Big old flat earth panel visionary thing there in front of a lizard, a humongous lizard thing on a rock. So anyway, yeah. It's I don't know. They must know, the people that put stuff like this together, they must know that they're triggering flat earthers when they make their diagrams a giant flat earth 150 million years ago. Yeah, sure. Okay. Why make it a giant flat earth? All right. This article is more of like visuals and then like commentary on the visuals. Let's see what this one says here with the giant lizard statue thing. A Dinosaur of Antarctica exhibition opened at Cincinnati Museum Center on Friday, October 14th, and runs through January 15th, 2023. All right, producers in that area, you got a couple months to do this. The exhibit immerses you in a prehistoric environment with real-life detail. This is no crocodile. It's the Antectosuchus polyodon, an amphibian with small teeth and would hunt small fish and invertebrates. Okay, there you go. There's good old Satan. Good old Satan on the ground, wiggling around in front of a picture of a big flat earth. Let's see what the flat earth picture says here. The Dinosaurs of Antarctica exhibition. Oh, okay, yeah, we know that. The exhibit immerses you in prehistoric environment with real. We know this. This is the caption. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. What's next here? All right, some dinosaur bones. Every single one of these commentaries are the same. It's all. Oh my gosh, what is happening? What is happening with this article? Somebody, maybe an AI. All right, now we got sea monsters. But all of it. Oh, here, this is another one. There's a picture of a girl wearing a VR headset. She's got the VR hand thingies, and she's in some kind of device, or not a device, but some kind of, I don't know what that looks like a vehicle type thing. And it's kind of a plush seat, like a backward seat. She's got some tables, and she's leaning over like she's in some kind of a situation. Greta Malevich, age 10, does her virtual reality flying on the Jurassic flight. The flying simulates the flight of a tarsaur, a prehistoric reptile. Oh, okay. So you go there, you put on your VR headset, and you get to feel like the reptilians flying over the earth, of prehistoric earth. Oh, how shall I create mankind in my image? You can just pretend like you're the lowercase g. You could pretend like you're Lucifer right there before you got thrown to the ground, and to the dust you shall go. To dust you shall eat all your days. Before all that, when lizard people were flying around. I don't know. This is this was one of those articles that was supposed to be Basil driven. So that's what we get. Then there's a little picture of some kind of bony structure here. The bony ridges of the crest of a Cryolophosaurus. Cryolophosaurus. The distinctive feature helped recognize other members of its own species. Okay, great. And then there's this crazy salamander / crocodile looking lizard thing. And it says, this is the Antoctosuchus polydon that we were talking about earlier in front of the flat earth picture. Then there's some photos of the U.S. Air Force airplane and some scientists. Let's see what else. The Jurassic neighbors. We don't even need to go when we have this, every single station here pictured in this article. Another one here with some larger Glacialosaurus. Glacialosaurus, like a glacier. Sauropodomorph. Did they change the names of dinosaurs recently, or have they added more since I was a kid? Because when I was a kid, it was T-Rex, it was Brontosaurus, it was Sagittarius. I can't remember all the names now. But it was, there's a few of them. But now they're coming up with names that I've never even heard of. Sauropodomorph. Okay. And then another picture of the VR, the Birdly prehistoric flight simulator, a flying reptile. Yeah. And then I really wanted to see what Basil's take was on this VR station with the flying lizard simulation, because clearly this is moving in. Oh, pterodactyl. That's right. Salt Paul in the chat. That's right. Pterodactyl was a big one. It was a big spelling thing, starts with the P, right? Yeah. Let's see. What else? That's it. Just a bunch of photos, some horrible captioning, inviting people to go check out this exhibit, the Dinosaurs of Antarctica exhibition, where you can put on a VR headset and pretend like you're a prehistoric flying reptile. And then also see a flat earth map of what the world looked like in prehistoric times. And just lots of mind control conditioning here going on. And it's just very interesting when you have a display or some kind of, a presentation like this that is supposed to highlight science and the progress of science and what we know about our reality. And all we get are just, offshoot tangent references to the Bible, the biblical stories, the mythologies, and also all of the fringe ideas that we talk about, flat earth, the salamander DNA, the not just the reptilian, but sort of the amphibian thing with the book of Revelation, when it talks about the three spirits that look like frogs that came out of the first beast and the false prophet. And so I don't know. And then you have the VR headset to sort of top it all off, where you get to simulate or pretend like you're a flying reptile back in the prehistoric days. I don't know. It's just my brain just fires off all the things. It triggers all the things that we've talked about. But maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe this is why we need some producers in the general area. If you're near the Cincinnati Museum Center, go there, do a report, and maybe do a little speak pipe, send in a photo or two, and we can hear directly from you. Maybe you can find some kind of curator at the museum, ask them, why is the prehistoric Earth map of a flat Earth kind? How come you did not use a three-dimensional globe model for the 150 million years ago Pangea-esque diagram here? And you can also ask them about why you want to be like a reptile, like a flying reptile. Okay, that's all I have. I'm sorry, folks. I really apologize for this episode. It has been quite the challenge today. We come on here every 3 times a week. We're working every day because we're collecting stories, we're reading articles. The days off, it's not just like we sit around. We're seeing the stories come in, we're trying to do research. And it's an ongoing thing. There's never like a set time. The set time where we're in here doing it is only for the broadcast part of it. The rest of the time we're working on other stuff pertaining to the show. So when we come to the workstation here and things just fall apart, it can be incredibly frustrating. But we appreciate that especially if you're still listening to this episode. It's been such a disaster. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you heard Basil here, so we know he's okay. We know he's still out there on the time stream and obviously having some trouble with internet connection, which is only our show with specifically a character like Basil could we have multiple days of trouble connecting, just basic internet connections that everybody in the world is able to do these days. But for some reason, just for our show, it's difficult to do. And there's probably reasons for that. If it wasn't challenging enough to try to work around all the censorship problems, how about the technology? Just all the gremlins, in the technology, especially on a day like today. All right. Well, let's get to wrapping up the show. But before we do, let me thank some of our producers who come in with their time. We, of course, have producers who come in with their treasure and their talent, but time is also something very important to us in terms of, volunteering your time to make things happen around here. And the first people that I would like to thank are the Clippies of Canary Cry Clips.
Flippy. Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much to our Clippies. That includes Emsworth, Faylivern, and Epsilon. And again, just as a heads up, we apparently received another strike on the Canary Cry Clips channel. You guys are getting a little too loosey-goosey. Got to make sure there's no, things that could... But by the way, I'm not being harsh on you guys, Clippies, because I understand, it's sort of a hit or miss. It's sort of a, I don't know, kind of like roulette, where you think you're good, but the algos wading through every single word spoken on this platform, YouTube. Sometimes it gets caught, and it's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault really, except for maybe Susan and the controllers. But we understand and we appreciate everything you guys do. And it's a tough situation. Now you guys know, Clippies, just a small hint of what it's like to put in time, sweat, blood, energy into something, and then just have it just be taken away from you because of a misunderstanding that you can't really present a counter to. You can do an appeal, but those are, I highly doubt that they're being investigated or, looked at or processed very thoroughly, because you either have a low-level worker that has to read it and decide whether to escalate it up to a higher people or whatever. It's not a good system, but that's why we're on Odyssey as well. And we're trying to diversify all the different places so that we're able to withstand the storms. And actually, there's a biblical passage that it's sort of an economic value, but in terms of where we decide to publish material and, do work on the internet, it's a good one, but I can't seem to pull it up. I know it's here somewhere. Let me see if I can do it via keyword, because I am a 21st century Christian that doesn't read things linearly, but looks for things, through different approaches to the Bible. And I can't do it right now. Yeah, of course I can't do it because nothing works today. Nothing works. You all know what I'm talking about. It's in Ecclesiastes, either the first chapter or the second chapter, somewhere around there. I think it's the first chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just go straight to the chapter, find it. I got it started, so might as well do it. Oh, no, I don't want verse by verse. That's going to take too long. All right, never mind. All right, it's in Ecclesiastes somewhere. It tells you to diversify because you never know what storms are going to happen. So that's what we're trying to do here. And, the Clippies are part of that. So thank you very much, Clippies, for all you do. And we also want to thank our timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Episode 547 was done by Jade Bouncerson. Thank you very much, Jade Bouncerson, for the timestamps. They help the Clippies, and they help anybody who's trying to just find the segments of the stuff we talk about. And we appreciate you. Thank you very much, Jade Bouncerson and entire team. Next up, we want to thank our social media people.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Social media, follow us.
This is Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers. Thank you so much for continuing to do the social media there. And I promise, I keep saying it, but we are going to have some more people come on to the team when it comes to the social media stuff. So we're just waiting for Basil to actually get back from, his travels, because he's definitely not in front of his rig, which makes things very difficult. So there you go. We also have reviews. We got a lot of reviews to catch up on, which is not a bad problem for us to have. Thank you to everyone who has left a rating and a review. We're trying to get to 33 every week. I don't think we got that high this last week, but we certainly have been seeing an influx of reviews, ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. So thank you to all of you who have done that. We will be reading each and every one over time. They're adding up though, so I think we'll spread it out. And technically, if this persists, I may start just reading them in the next couple episodes. And by this, I mean Basil just not being available for a whole show. So yeah, we got to start moving on those because we've gotten a lot. You guys have answered the call. We've gotten a lot of ratings and reviews in the last couple weeks, and we want to fulfill the promise of reading each and every one of these. So thank you very much. And anything else? Oh, meetups.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Yeah, and speaking of what was it? Sorry. I'm trying to do a couple things at once. I get lost. I start talking. The words don't come out. Yes, speaking of the social media leader at the moment, Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers, she is hosting a meetup at the Ottawa Valley, or it's called the Ottawa Valley Meetup on the 22nd. That's upcoming this Saturday at the Ottawa Valley Coffee in our Prior. Still not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. At 11:11 a.m. You can email Grace at MissGraceElizabeth@protonmail.com. She'd love to meet some lovely canaries in the Ottawa Valley, so definitely go there if you're in the general area. We also have, November 5th. We should start looking at November. We're getting close. We're already halfway through October. Yeah, well over halfway. So, start looking at November. Maryville, Indiana. Northwest Indiana meetup on Saturday, November 5th. The first stop at the Cat Cafe. Second stop at the Aladdin Pita dinner. Email sassyfrassbees@gmail.com. If you want to know how to spell it, go to canarycrimemeetups.com. It's there. Then we also have Phoenix, Arizona scheduled with producer Steven, November 4th and 5th. I think we're waiting on some more details on that one. Then, of course, December 11th, Silver Dollar City, Missouri. The Meetup, meet and park for coffee treats and get to know you Canary chatter at Ava and Delilah's Bakery. Followed with the park-wide scavenger hunt for truth. Contact Adorned with Jewels at protonmail.com for that one. And yeah, a lot of meetups happening. If you don't see one happening near you, you could be the one to do the meetup. Choose a location, figure out a date and time, make a flyer, promote it. We'll help do some of that if you need the help. And yeah, it's really important to connect with folks in your local communities that may have a similar worldview, at least from the point of the Canary Cry world, I guess, the Canary Cry universe. So go to canarycrymeetups.com. We'll see you there.
This is fun.
Thank you to Jam for all the links. Appreciate it, Jam. Definitely gets us out of a jam when we are in one, when it comes to certain stories and stuff for a show. And that's it. That's it. You know, if this is, please let us know if this was your first episode ever and you actually got to the end. Please just reach out to us. I'm assuming that there is no one out there that this is their very first episode of listening to the show. And you also made it all the way to the end. If you are a very special person. And I'd like to thank you personally. So yeah, if you are that person, email us, let us know. And we'll thank you on the next episode as just a trooper that understands us and our woes as just lowly podcasters trying to make a difference here. But yes, our show would not be possible without you producers, but it also wouldn't be possible without sharing the show. You know, that's a big way things get around these days. Word of mouth still is the best sort of, marketing distribution method. And yeah, it just happens naturally a lot of times, but sometimes you just need a little fire under the chair there to get everybody to share the show. And, there's always creative ways to do that. For our instances here, maybe give a friend, a family, like for a card, a birthday card, or, for Thanksgiving or for Christmas or something, give them a card that has symbols on the front of it, like maybe 5 or 6 symbols, not exactly the way tarot cards, you don't want a diviner. You don't want to be a diviner to your friends and family. So don't do that, but just, come up with some iconography for your friends and family and just make it about like topics that we talk about, like maybe a robot arm and then some ice, some flat earth maps on ice or something, and just, come up with a series and then just say, just drawing some pics for you for your little card. Hey, happy birthday. Check out my little drawings. And then just drop a little hint, like, oh yeah, this podcast I listen to. And then just, wait a while. And then if they really want to ask about what the art is about, you can just promote the show with it. You're like, oh yeah, it's got to do with this Canary Cry show. And then when they listen and then they come to you like, 2-3 months later, and they're like, oh my gosh, everything you put on the card, it's coming true. You can say, that's right. That's right. My buddies Basil and Gons were able to help me understand this stuff. And now it's helping you understand it. And that's how it spread. That's how this Canary Cry virus spreads. I hate to call it a virus, but it's metaphorical, folks. Metaphorical. This is how Alex Jones gets in trouble, by the way. He speaks in metaphors, like all the time, and then he has to backtrack. Look, I didn't mean actual lizards, but I did. Just the lizard people are making aliens or whatever, So I don't want to speak in allegory too much or metaphor. But, it's just for fun at the end of the show here. Or you can do something even better. You can just walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and shake him.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah. The human race.
Oop. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. We mess up at the very end. I mess up. Not we. Me, Gons, messed up. The Cabana Boy is just clicking on all sorts of buttons today. Oh, man. All right. You know what tomorrow is, folks? Tomorrow, the 18th of October, will be the 3-year anniversary of Event 201. Can you believe it? It's been 3 years since Event 201. And people still don't know. They still don't know. They're still talking about boosters and all that kind of stuff. It's unbelievable, you know? And as time goes on, it's going to be more and more difficult to deny the facts regarding all the things happening in the world today. So, what else is there this week? Oh, we got National Sasquatch Day on Thursday, and then we got Basil's birthday on Friday. Oh man, this is supposed to be a wild week of Canary Cry. And if we make it to Friday, we will celebrate Basil's birthday. There's a good chance we don't make it there, though. Oh, the way things are going. But we'll just keep pressing forward. And hopefully we'll be back on Wednesday. That's the 19th for episode 549. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Till then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Give me a break.
Lions in the cosmos, children in the space lane. I love the Great Reset.
In a spaceship.
Supersonic space plane screamed to life and the vehicle swooped upward on board. The passengers experienced 3 G's of force from the burst of extreme acceleration and watched the blue sky fade into space.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Oh yeah.
We're all gonna die.
Have been cleared to unstrap.
Yes. Do it, Richard. Do it, Jeff. Do it for humanity.
To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship.
He can accomplish it. You can too. Big windows, cool. Rocket ship, cool. Space plane, cool.
Nukes,
cool.
Blowing stuff up,
cool. Space plane, astronaut, rocket ship.
Previous anchor.
Yeah, Bezos is a human. Just look at him. Go to the bathroom in bags. He can go to the bathroom in the cosmos. It changed everything.
We're all gonna die.
Why in space? Children in the cosmos. With your best friend brother. Wives in the cosmos. Children in the space plane.
We are headed to space.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm. In my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now. In my people's zoo.
Give me a break.
You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Go away.
We're all gonna die.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
We're all gonna die.
I'll make you fat and sassy. In my people's zoo.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
I'll make you fat and sassy. people's zoo.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun.
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.